Please say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have an agenda in front of us. Do I hear a motion?
Second.
Any additions or corrections? All in favor of the agenda as printed, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Public comment. Justin, you want to come up front?
Yes.
Do I sit or stand?
You can, either one. Just
Either one.
We are, televised, so we want you to talk in the mic. That's the biggest thing.
Do you want me to bring it over?
Why don't you just sit down?
Okay, perfect.
2 minutes.
Yes, I'll try to make it quick. To the Honorable Board of Supervisors, I'm writing to urge your continued financial support for the Denver Public Library. My family's recent experience illustrates that our library is far more than a place to borrow books. It's a critical resource that sustains residents during times of extreme hardship and serves as a vital infrastructure backup for our community. Last year on July 4th, a house fire displaced my family for 5 months. We were forced to reside in a hotel on the south side of Cedar Falls, which created a massive logistical challenge in keeping our children integrated in the Denver community. Throughout the summer, my wife and I got up at 5 a.m. 6 days a week to drive our high schooler to Denver to cross-country practice. Once the school year began, I faced a difficult choice: spend my entire day driving back and forth between Cedar Falls and Denver, or find a place to remain productive in town. Because our home had no electricity or AC and the restoration teams needed the space clear to work, the Denver Public Library became my daily home base. It provided a safe, air-conditioned environment and the high-speed Wi-Fi and power I needed to stay employed and productive. While there is a common perception that libraries are less relevant because everything's electronic now, or quote-unquote, my experience proved the opposite. Despite the prevalence of smartphones, tablets, and fiber internet, I watched our library flood with people every single day. A smartphone is not a substitute for a powered workspace, and a data plan is not a substitute for high-speed fiber internet. I witnessed this firsthand when a state research project was assigned to the local 5th grade class. I watched a literal running of parents as families raced to the library after school to secure a computer. Even for those with technology at home, many rely on the library's workstations and professional-grade printing services. Having access to all of that is very important. Can I get a time check quick? I just want to make sure I'm within.
30 seconds.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Beyond technology, the library serves as a social safety net. I watched staff prep crafts for daycare kids and witnessed elderly residents gathering for card games that rivaled the excitement of a sports bar on game day. For those on a fixed income or living with chronic illness, these social checks are a primary defense against isolation and depression. As a business owner, I understand the importance of quantifying a return on investment. However, with a priceless landmark like a small town library, the real return on investment is found in the lives it touches and the people your investment benefits. In closing, your financial backing isn't simply about putting books on shelves. It is an investment in the education, mental health, and economic resilience of every Bremer County citizen. I strongly urge you to continue your support of the Denver Public Library. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move to approve the minutes from January 13th.
Second.
Any additions or corrections? Seeing none, all in favor of the minutes from January 13th, say aye.
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 Chair votes aye. Minutes have been approved. Claims, authorization to issue for the auditor issue checks. Do I hear a motion?
I would move to approve claims
Second.
and authorize auditor issue checks.
Any additions or corrections? Seeing none, all in favor for the auditor to do claims, say aye.
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 Chair votes aye. Claims have been approved. We have no personnel changes, so that's good. Budget review.
I'm still in the process of finishing all the budgets. I've got 2 left to go. They mostly revolve around the projects that we have going right now. The courthouse project is the main one. I've got the 911 budget completed for next fiscal year, but it's the courthouse project that I'm still working on, trying to hammer out how much will be still this fiscal year, how much will be next fiscal year, and then the following fiscal year to split up the costs. And if I'm calculating right now, I think we're going to be 1.7 million or more over what we can bond for. So just keep that in mind. That's what I'm using to, between our local option sales tax and our general fund, to figure out where those dollars are going to come from. And that is not including any alternatives. with the exception of one. One of the things that is on the cost from Myron is the courthouse fobs and things like security cameras. They actually have that on the bottom of the budget, but Scott put in for a capital project for it, so
We
there's a little
put in a
duplicate
capital
number
project
there.
in case the project didn't go, so that we had that for capital.
Okay.
So you should have numbers by the end of this week. Planning on doing a scenario of maximizing the $3.50, but also give you a scenario of what it will look like if we have to go down to 2% of the tax levy that we had last year, which is a possibility.
Mhm. Okay, any questions for Sandra? Boards and committee updates?
Had Board of Health last Wednesday night. We elected the same chair and vice chair, Sally Youngton and Dr. Bookman, are chair and vice chair respectively. Lindley did a very copious update of the health department in general. We had a spirited discussion about the budget and finances, followed by a discussion of the 26-27 budget. We ultimately passed a recommended budget to this board for consideration, with again the understanding that those dollars not absolutely needed won't be requested until they are needed, which is, I think, quite good that we have that relationship, and that's how things continue to work. Lindley brought up a possibility of a new program in light of all of the EMS shortages throughout the state, and in particular Bremer County. She's beginning conversations about perhaps developing a program of providing not certified training, but basic CPR and basic stop the bleed and everything that could help residents in that time frame where there may be delay in emergency services arriving. We had far more questions than answers to the proposal, and she knew that when she brought it to us. So we certainly challenged her to go back and do more research and bring it to our next meeting. But it was exciting. She thinks she can do it with her existing staff, which is probably one of the biggest concerns that we had. We could see that thing exploding and being very popular, as we know some of those programs are. So stay tuned for that. And then had Intercog regular board meeting or executive board meeting, and that one was largely spent on the audit process or the audit update, and we had an absolutely totally clean audit, which was pretty cool. That's what happens when you have the right number of staff in an office that can allow for that. One that we all get written up on all the time is that the second person didn't look something over, and they have that ability down there, so it gave us a 100% clean audit. There's a bit of a problem in the entryway coming in on the west side of the building. Bob, you probably notice it when you're down there with them. We asked Brian to start beginning a process of looking into repairing and fixing that. And then at 1 o'clock, we had our Transportation Authority meeting, and Greg Barnett was reelected as chair, and I was reelected as vice chair. The meeting itself was relatively uneventful. We discussed that bridge that seems to be discussed almost every meeting up in New Hampton, and All we're doing is a letter of support for it, but apparently there's not a 2080 agreement between the city and the county yet to figure out how they're gonna finalize it. So we strongly suggested that they get that in place before they actually do their grant submittal, or it might cause them problems, so. That was the extent of mine.
Fantastic. Corey?
We had a Teams meeting Thursday morning for insurance. Cassandra can go into detail on that. We basically are requesting to at least take a look at stopgap levels, see what that would affect on our premiums, and also looking at like annual out-of-pocket, kind of what the cause and effect would be of adjusting our annual out-of-pockets to keep our suggested rates in line, and how we act on those suggested rates. So Shay's going to get us some information this week, and we'll bundle that up and get it out to everybody so we can get a better handle on.
Yeah, hopefully next Tuesday.
It was a productive meeting. I felt we learned more and got more to our policy. We're kind of building that relationship with Shay, and I think getting kind of better understanding where we're coming from. So I felt it was a good meeting. Also had courthouse meeting, construction meeting later on Thursday. Plans were supposed to be ready to go out today. There's like 7 items, I believe, Patrick identified late yesterday that ISG had not corrected in the plans or brushed past, disappointingly. So those are kicked back to ISG right now to address those issues. Kind of a myriad of issues, some notes, footing details on like that enclosure for the generator, several items. So those hopefully will be addressed quickly so that we can get plans out, because we're entering into the bid period. That's all I have.
I'll wait. We got the Library Association, so we got 3 chairs here, folks. So who wants to help lead present? And then we have more chairs over here, so.
You want somebody here too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want some people to sit up front.
Bob, do you want to sit down? These to you guys, because I don't think you
Very much. Just a reminder, we are televised, so Bob, don't make any bad jokes.
No Norwegian jokes this morning?
What he really means is, Bob, don't make any jokes.
Thanks, Julie.
You're welcome.
Alrighty, we'll turn it over to the Bremer County Library Association for the FY27 budget requests.
Okay, I think,
You want to do
Cassandra.
introductions, just?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
I'm Robert Warren. I'm a trustee at the Waverly Public Library.
And I'm Sarah Meyer, I'm the library director at the Waverly Public Library.
Hi, and I'm Nazi Jabari, and I'm a Janesville Public Library board member.
I'm Amanda Lady. I'm the director at the Denver Public Library.
I'm Lisa Biersner. I'm the director at Janesville.
I'm Beth Kingdon, I'm the director at Reedland.
Great. Thank you guys for coming today.
So I think Cassandra has printed our reports for you. Every year we try to do kind of a 1-page, just statistical report for each of our libraries and tell you what's going on. This year I think we're going to try and tell you a few stories from our libraries about patrons that use our libraries. And we've got a couple trustees here to speak as well. But when we met in October, as the Bremer County Library Association, we meet twice a year. Each of those libraries brings a percentage to the table that they would like to request, and those get averaged. So the request this year is for 5.5% increase. And part of the rationale behind that is that it was 2021 the last time we had an increase, so we're hoping that we could we could have something to help combat inflation that we're seeing. That is our request for 26-27. So I'll let Bob Warren speak.
I'm on deck here.
You're on deck.
Well, now it's show and tell time, it's story time, and I have a copy for the five of you. Bringing a story of a couple of the library patrons and county residents. You're going to, when the sheets make it around, you'll see one handwritten at the top. It says Dawn, and the other one says Claire. And this is a mother and daughter that I met when I first moved to town. I met Don Emerson as a checker down at Fairway back in the day, a decade ago. She now works for WSR Schools. And I'm not going to read everything on there. You can read first about Dawn and one of the reasons that she appreciates the library system in the county. I asked Dawn to come and take some time off. I told her she didn't need to be afraid of this group, the nice friendly group, but she preferred to communicate that way. And you can see what Dawn mentions there. Dawn is a lifelong resident of rural Bremer County, and she has brought her family and children through the years, and now grandchildren into the library here in Waverly. And you can see what she has mentioned about the way that she has utilized the library over the years. I think it's good to mention in this day and age, there's some controversy that in both Dawn and her daughter Claire mentioned that it's a safe place for kids to be, where children can go and learn some lifelong learning skills and responsibilities. Now, on the back side of that, promising not to read verbatim, is her daughter Claire. And I got to know Claire when I moved to retirement by driving the band bus for WSR. And Claire is an accomplished musician, besides a great young woman, three-time All-State violinist, and she plays a great fiddle for local dance bands around and entertainment bands. If you know Claire, she's taken time off from that to be a mom, and Claire also now is a half-time school nurse for WSR. And she writes more of a narrative form there of what it has meant for her, and now her two sons, generational things coming up to the library of being able to use that. Now, the disclaimer, Claire lives outside the county now, over the border in Shell Rock, but somewhere along the line she picked up that civic responsibility is that she is a trustee for the Shell Rock Library Board. So I think this is a couple examples of how the library, and through rural funds, through county funds, to help support that as well. I know from doing some simple math that for the Waverly Library Board, that it comes in the neighborhood of about 7% of the revenue supports the Waverly Library. There's things that we could not do without that support. Of course, we'd like more, but we thank you for the support on that so far. I can't speak for the other libraries in the county, but I got a feeling that the county support really is a larger percentage on there and helps them more. So thank you for your time for my brief discussion and what I bring to the table from a couple of patrons that have really benefited from the county support. Thank you.
Okay, hi. I echo your sentiments completely. I'm a patron of a few libraries, Janesville and also Waverly, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about why the Janesville Public Library is one of my favorite places and an integral, important part of our community. I'm a library fanatic, so getting to speak in a forum like this is, like my library books, long overdue. So I'll start by saying my kids love the library. They look forward to finding new books. They also look forward to the library events, and they look forward to the summer reading program where they somewhat earnestly earn summer reading prizes. They also enjoy playing board games at the library with their friends while they wait for me, because I'm usually there looking for books or talking to neighbors that I run into. I go to the library almost every week, actually more than every week, and while I'm there, I'm looking for new releases because I am trying to maintain my reading streak. But also while I'm there, I'm reminded that the library offers so much more to the community beyond books. I see teams of kids running in and outside the library as they play indoor and outdoor games. I see flyers up about the very popular senior program that generates lots of people, seniors coming to the library each week. And then I also see the well-stocked free food bank that's made possible by generous patrons. And that reminds me how the library quietly supports families in the community that are going through difficult times. So thank you again for letting me speak about all the positive contributions that Janesville Public Library has made to my family and our community. Thanks.
Thank you.
Anybody have any?
I can go next, yeah. So I took over at the Denver Public Library just in November, so I've been there a relatively short time, and it immediately became clear to me that it's such an important place in the community, and there are a lot of people that truly depend on it. I actually have a patron here today, so on my first day of work, I said, who's that guy over in the corner? And it is Justin, so he came to speak with you all today. He can tell you a little bit about his story.
All already been done.
Oh, you've already done it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, can
Basically,
you recap?
July 4th, our house caught on fire, and we were told, get out, stay out, and we ended up being out for 5 months. Well, my kids' life still took place in July, so we had to drive back and forth from a hotel south of Shields in Cedar Falls. And if it wasn't for the library, I mean, Denver doesn't have a whole lot of options for, air-conditioned space with electricity with free Wi-Fi. So as much as I wanted to sit, in like a quick start parking lot, the library is wonderful. And like I said, the reading to the young kids, just even the parents that would bring their kids in just to wander around and just let the kids explore. I mean, that's such a big part of learning. And then also one thing that Amanda and I have been working on is official documents. In a small town, how important is it that you have board agendas, board meetings, minutes, things like that. So it's such a resource that when she asked me if I'd be willing to come share our experience, I jumped at it. I told her within like a week, I got the speech ready, I'm ready to go. We love the library in Denver, and we just appreciate the support.
Thank you. And then, of course, we have Justin. We also have our card club ladies. They, it's a group from anywhere from 63 years old to probably 85. They're in there every single Tuesday and Friday, and just a story that kind of stands out from them is because that's their third place and it's their community and where they are. One day when one of the members didn't show up, it kind of sent up red flags. So we called and checked on her. Nobody could get a hold of her, ended up sending an ambulance to her house, and she needed help. She was in her driveway by herself, didn't have her phone. So, just that consistency and, like I said, that sense of belonging and people looking out for you. If it weren't for the group at the library, who knows how long she would have been there, something like that. So they were very concerned with the holidays, if it would interfere with their schedule. It's just so important to them, gives them purpose, gives them a reason to get out of the house. And it's been really fun to get to know them and see them there consistently every Tuesday and Friday. So yeah, we have great people there, and I'm excited to see what the next year brings and who else I get to meet and see how it impacts them.
Do you have any other stories to add?
We have a group similar to hers that meets every Wednesday for coffee. There's anywhere from 6 to 12 ladies. And one thing that I've noticed in the last year is we have several ladies who have moved out of Reedland or the Reedland area. Some live in Waverly now, some live in Sumner. One lives over in Oline now with her son. And they still come over every week and get together and have coffee. And several times they'll bring their kids if they come, their grandkids in the summer, they'll bring them. We have some who have started a knitting group at the library. Most of them live rurally, and so they'll come in at least once a week and they'll knit. And they have, you would think a knitting group is older ladies, and they have also recruited about 5 or 6 teenagers that they're now teaching to knit, and those kids are teaching some more kids. So now sometimes after school, I have 6 or 7 teenagers in there knitting and playing board games and chess and all that going on. So it's nice to see that intergenerational interaction that I don't know would happen otherwise. So it's important that we have a space where people in town and rurally can come together.
That's one thing we've been talking about at the Waverly Public Library, working on our long-range plan. Our next strategic plan is something that kept coming up was community resiliency, and how combating loneliness and isolation is something that is definitely on our radar and something that we want to continue to combat. I asked the library staff the middle of last week if they could give me a couple examples of folks that come in to our library, maybe even from the county, and Emily McClyman, our youth librarian, said that there's a rural Plainfield mother who brings her daughter to story time on the days that her daughter doesn't have preschool, and that she's mentioned to her several times how they value the opportunities for social interactions for both of them, for the child and for the mother. Heidi Faraday, who is one of our librarians from Sumner, said that she sees a lot of rural people come into the library at tax time, and that farmers are always looking for the Form 4562, and that's the depreciation and amortization schedule or form, and that they often need several copies for the entire farm family, and often the deadline is tomorrow when they come in. And then the last story was about a couple of young guys who used our meeting rooms and internet and computers to set up a landscaping business that they met at the library often as they were getting that set up. So those are just a few examples of the different patrons who have been using our library. I don't know if you have any questions for us.
I do have a question. I think I've asked this before, and I don't remember the answer, but all of us are on kind of the boundaries of other counties.
Mm-hmm.
Do we receive any funding from any of the other counties, at any of the other libraries? Does Denver get from Blackhawk?
Janesville gets from Blackhawk and Bremer.
Do they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that may be the only one. When we
don't.
You don't, yeah.
See, in Janesville is unique
Yeah.
because they actually have citizens in their city
Yes.
limits, and maybe
Yes.
that's why.
Through the
Well,
through
Sumner
the
is the same way.
In
Kind
town.
of, but, well,
Janesville has city limits within Blackhawk and Bremer.
Same as Sumner.
yeah, very, very few residents, but, I understand.
through the State Library of Iowa, if we do physical circulations of books or other items to people who are outside our county or in towns outside our town, we get a partial reimbursement for that circulation at the end of the year. So there is a little bit of money coming in from the state to offset that.
And to speak to that in Janesville in particular, I don't have the number off the top of my head, but the sheet that was mailed to you with Janesville on it, at the bottom it says the percent of funding that you represent for us and the percent of Bremer rural patrons we serve. And it is fairly comparable, if not more patrons than percentage right now. I did it for both counties, so I've got all the numbers in my head, and I don't want to misquote it, but you have that information in the sheets.
My other one isn't a question, but I will make a comment, mostly for my colleagues. I sat on the library board in Sumner for a good number of years and went through a building project, and I remember being very specifically told by a few citizens that are always against everything that you're foolish to be building a new library because in 20 years there won't be anybody using the library. Well, guess what? I think they have more people today, 20 plus years later, than what they had then utilizing the library. So
Yeah.
once again, they were wrong. So they do, I do respect and understand the value that the libraries hold for the communities. Ours is amazing in Sumner, and our director up there does amazing work.
Mhm.
And I constantly read things in the paper, and so kudos to all of you for the good work that you do. So
That's a beautiful library out there.
it is. As is, well, all of them are very nice. Denver's is a very nice library.
Well, very good. Yeah, thank you for your time, and yeah, thanks for making available your space. I know Workforce Development has started a meeting in Waverly Library for outreach for jobs, and so that's awesome. And keep on doing what you're doing, and we really appreciate all your work.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming.
Almost out of here. Okay. Thanks again.
All righty. I have a lot of committee updates. EMS, as we talked about, Dewey, so what you talked about is a good transfer into this. EMS, they decided to go back to having a study done. So I've requested to put some money in our FY26 budget, see if there's some monies that they can go out and do a study to get a recommendation on how to reorganize our EMS services in Bremer County. They're not comfortable themselves on doing this. They think an outside expert would be the right way, so that's what.
So are they withdrawing their request for the 330,000?
Yep.
Smart move.
So that's where they're at. So we're working on RFP outline. So North Iowa Detention Center, nothing big. They are going through their budget, and they signed me to their budget committee now, so I'll be on that budget committee. They are looking at maybe one service, a drug treatment. So, maybe apply for some opioid dollars and establish a drug treatment program, because they do have space available that they own. So that's something they're looking at right now. I did our PIO training, Public Information Officer training, this past week, so I hope Department of Health have a PIO, but if, just in case they ever need one. Mental health advocate, we've talked about, and we're going to discuss with the Blackhawk County person on Friday, see if she has available time to take on Bremer County. So we're going to go that route, and so that'd be a possible appointment. I did check into Pathways. We are no longer on the board over there, and I'm not sure if it's, if we should apply to be on their board or not, so I don't know. Public health might have a little bit more, if you're thinking that we should or should not apply to be on the board.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Ken on the board for a good number of years?
He was, but he hasn't been on. He was not on. She didn't tell me when he went off, but so. Training for board members, Shelley and I have been working on that and making sure that all the new appointees have been given the link, and that training here is at the end of the month. Eldora, they're finalizing their 2080 agreement. I'll put it on, Cassandra will put it on the agenda. They have not approved it yet, but we'll just have a quick discussion on what that looks like. So that is it for me.
Thank you.
And I think for EMS, since our public health director is doing some things, I might have her get CC'd on those EMS meetings. She doesn't need to attend, but she can always read the minutes a little bit easier.
I applaud you for looking to work with Blackhawk on that. That makes a lot of sense, or at least someone else to you know, it ought to make the governor happy too, because that was one of the things she stressed, is that counties need to start looking outside and thinking of how they can work together, so that's a great idea for the victim coordinator.
That's interesting with Pathways. They had reached out on the 11th of December 24 as you were getting ready to take office to Scott Dickinson at Pathways and never got a response.
Okay. There is one person for Bremer County on that board. There's only two, I mean, your brother's on it.
Right.
I don't know if he sees much value or, there's, I think, two supervisors on
So
Pathways.
maybe it's okay.
Most of them, yeah, it's a mix of people.
Okay.
But yeah, why don't you
I'll
talk
talk to
to
Scott.
him and see if, I asked him how many supervisors, they haven't got back to me in their bylaws, is there any breakdown on how many, where your board mix is? So I have not got that.
We, at Community Action, we have that breakdown, like private sector, public sector.
Yes.
Government.
Yes.
Okay.
So we got a couple minutes, so, before you can start, so.
That's okay.
She hosted this great training last week, my gosh.
When you get your certificate, send it my way.
She's got a frame for it.
No, it's just gonna go in that incident command structure that I have to submit by the end of the month.
Yeah, Darius went to it and Santana went to it, so yeah, you're gonna be,
It was a good
we're all
turnout.
ready.
Yeah.
Can you create a disaster?
A fake one for exercise, yes. You can put your skills to use that way.
Does that mean I was supposed to have my training done?
No, I mean, if you want to for next fiscal year, but I've got it filled out. The government shutting down gave us an extra month to get things submitted, so allowed everybody to get that PIO training in.
Sounded a little better this week, do we?
Feel a lot better.
Like a little
Did BCCP ever go
sunny
on
and
the agenda?
75 might help you.
A little what?
A little sunny and 75
Oh,
might help you.
that probably wouldn't hurt, would it? Doesn't sound like that's coming
I won't bet
anytime
they do
soon.
that.
No.
2 to 4 inches of snow and 14 below maybe is
We have a
gonna
friend
happen
who
first.
chose not to come in and do that, so.
We live in Iowa.
Last week, they didn't even know that they needed to do that.
I've sent them.
Yeah, it's a
multiple
new
emails.
president, so I think things
Mr.
aren't
Chair,
getting
maybe
passed
you can
along or
clarify
looked
the
at.
11:30
Website,
agenda
no.
item is your,
Them again,
um,
and
document
Jill came in with
here,
that and said, sorry.
and there's a line in there
Busy
about
with,
wages.
meetings
Is that particular to
Yes, we
your
still want
department,
to.
or is that a general
Jill's been
conversation
sick
for the
too.
entire county?
But I told them in the meeting last week, somebody needed
Entire
to email
county.
and respond.
It's unusual that Sean
She said in the meeting, I sent you emails, but I'm not doing this for you, essentially is what you said. So Brenda is her name, from Habitat for Humanity is the president. So I don't know. Jill probably just ended up doing it. Yeah, she said she had shared that and they could use it.
Did Kip reach out to you at all about a letter of support for the upper Cedar?
Yeah, he's told me they're holding off, he's getting some more information, but
Okay.
it'll be coming. Watershed may apply for some grants, so. But I think he's off doing sled dogs or something like that, so.
Yeah, he said the next couple of weeks he wasn't. I just told him to reach out to you first.
Alrighty, we'll get started here.
All right, what I gave you is just a condensed, version of 55, but we'll actually start with Department 45 first, which is the opioid fund, which is just 2 pages.
Okay.
What do you have in front of you, expense or revenue?
Usually put expense first.
Okay, so expense, I just put 100,000 for expenses since that's what we had set for that maximum amount for the Bremer County opioid fund for 3 years, so, I just put that all in the opioid prevention line items. And then second page is revenue, so the minimum that we can expect for fiscal year 27 is 70,366. And that includes settlement and just an estimate on interest.
And from my memory, we have 2 applicants for your programming funds, and just go ahead and just remind the public what those.
So for fiscal year 26, Pathways was awarded money, and Community Memorial Hospital was awarded the grant. So those were the 2 applicants that the opioid fund funded.
One for more of a treatment, another one for drug disposal.
A CMH is strictly drug disposal, and then Pathways is prevention and jail. There's a combination of prevention and treatment.
Okay. Sounds good. Just to let you know, we talked about earlier, I know North Iowa Juvenile Detention is looking at maybe creating some type of opioid treatment facility, probably more so, but they're looking at it. So that's interesting, so I'll keep you updated as they progress.
All right. Any questions with the opioid fund?
So right now, that 100,000, you don't have very much here, 30,000 earmarked right now?
For my own department? Or what do you mean?
For those 2
For those
grants.
grants.
Oh, combined total, yeah, it was, Pathways was under 35,000, I think, and then Pathways was under 3,000. And then we bought.
CMH was under 3,000.
Yes, sorry, CMH was under 3,000, and then we're spending, we bought the doTERRA pouches, I did that in a board of supervisor meeting, and then we have some ideas that all come to the board
That
in
was
the coming
FY
months.
'26, you bought those.
What?
You just bought those in
Yep.
FY '26.
So even if we do that stuff, that'll be under that 100K. In our last meeting, we talked about quite a few other ideas for spending this fiscal year and stuff that can carry over in FY27. But I'll bring those to a separate agenda item
Okay.
for that. Once we have a plan. All right, Department 55, so this is a 3-page condensed that I just gave you. It's still the same numbers that I had originally submitted that Cassandra had, but the first page is just wages. So what I submitted, I didn't show any pay increases for FY27, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But if we did a 2.8%, which is just a cost of living raise, that would be an increase from fiscal year 26 to 27 of $5,061. The compensation report for my department that the county didn't recommend anything other than cost of living in their heat map. So the expenses are on the second page, so usually mine is a good 3 pages just with different expense funds that we have. So so everything was simplified, I broke that down into one. So total expenditures for FY27 was $233,126. And then at the bottom of the page, I have a summary of what I had submitted, and then on the right-hand side would show the 2.8% COLA increase and if we had grant funding received. So I'll go through that here a little bit. Some major expenses that we have are foot clinic supplies. So if you go down to medical, once you get outside of the wages and benefits, that's just what the cost is for foot clinic supplies on an annual basis. $1,400 for vaccines. Advertising was $1,500. Postage, mileage, or smaller expenses. Our telephone, so that's office phone and cell phones, and our hotspots, that's $2,520. Computer equipment is the next largest line, and that includes a copier lease, our acuity scheduling for foot clinics, immunizations, and anything else that we schedule. Zoom subscription, Adobe subscription, and then potentially Canva in FY27. So that's $3,270. Educational and training, I put $1,160 there. Electric, light, and power is $2,500, and that's the just electricity for our office building that we split between 3 departments right now.
Shelley, you're not taking over that one? Electric?
Not for anything with
Okay.
just the annex.
Just the annex.
CBS manages that, and we bill them monthly, we all split it.
As long as it's paid on time.
It does.
Equipment and machinery, so this is one where there's flexibility and where if the county decided on COLA, so I'll talk about that. So vehicle repairs I put for $3,500. There are a couple things that they're not super bad right now, but in the future, I don't know when, we'll have to do some vehicle expenses. So at our last Board of Health meeting last week, we're talking about programming for FY27, and we brought this idea of a life-saving skills initiative that we want to initiate in FY27. And I'm going to apply for a lot of grant funding for that. So it would be a non-certificate training. I don't even want to, it's an initiative. You wouldn't get a certificate for it, but we would teach hands-only CPR, just very basic first aid, stop the bleed, choking, and also opioid response, so that we could also utilize opioid funds for the initiative. And instead, all those trainings alone are good 90-minute trainings, and not everybody needs them. But we just want to include all of those things for people to understand and be respond if they're in a place where any of that happens, to save a life. So we talked about that, but we put in here, the mannequins that we have in the county are pretty old, so a basic $6,000. I'm gonna apply for grant funding. And even if we don't get grant funding, we can use what we have, and that would cover wages and benefits with a 2.8 increase depending on what the county decides. So
Who's
if
your
we,
target audience for this, you believe?
just the general public. So we would start, so right now we get requests from schools for Stop the Bleed, but Santana and I aren't trained in that. There are 2 trainers, but we're going on 3 years now where we have a box of Stop the Bleed kits that are supposed to go to Chipola, and it's just been a challenge for them to get a trainer that's in there to do it that meets the state's qualifications. So we get that one. Otherwise, it's just your general. We would start with as many groups, so like your civics groups, we would target them. Employers.
The 2 medical professionals on the Board of Health were very excited about it, but they were also very cautious about it because they felt that it could explode into a very popular program. They definitely did not want to call it training because
It's not, you're not gonna get a certificate like you do for CPR if you take the full training.
And then there was a very robust conversation component surrounding whether or not there should be a charge for providing this service. I think that comes with concerns also. If you're charging and receiving money, are you also creating additional liability for our constituents, or if there is no charge? And then, so there's a lot of questions, and then he's going to come back to our next Board of Health meeting with lots of answers. But Sally and Dr. Bookman, both, Sally's the registered nurse, both, Bob, to your question, felt that she would be, if anything, overwhelmed and never a lack of people willing to take the training based on their experiences in their health settings.
So it would be for people that want that training but aren't necessarily like they need it for their job. So if you need a CPR actual certificate for your job, this isn't the training for you. So like if you have grandparents, we could go to youth groups, civic groups, schools. It just depends.
Okay.
It's just a larger population since we have challenges with the EMS system and with people volunteering for things.
And you'll maybe tell EMS, Aaron, about this too, that if he has a cert training, maybe this
Yes.
could go along with it?
We can partner with them. So that was one of the other ideas. Individually, Santana and I, for liability, we want to have an instructor certificate for each one of those. So it's BLS instructor training, Stop the Bleed, the national recognized training that the state requires.
Oh.
We already have first aid, and then we're going to look into naloxone. But if we can't get those in on time, then we would partner with other organizations, like Pathways gives that 90-minute training. Can they condense that down into something that's 20 minutes or less where people just practice it and do it instead of giving like the 30,000-foot science of things.
Okay. But you're thinking a 90-minute,
Yep, we're gonna do hands-only CPR, stop the bleed, naloxone, and then just basic first aid and choking. And people are mostly just gonna practice those things. We wanna apply for a couple grants that we would get everybody trained. We would purchase some supplies, so for people that take the training, which we talked about, maybe just a material cost, we would just develop a little curriculum handout that they get. And then like something that they can hang on their fridge that, okay, this person needs, CPR, call 911, start compressions. If they have a burn, do this. something simple like that, so.
Okay, so that's a great initiative. I think that's nice. What would be two other things different than you're doing now? Like what are your 3 goals for this next year?
So we talked about that too. So we have some other programs that aren't really gonna cost a lot. We used to do them. So we wanna bring back health screenings, and that comes with potential funding through all the Healthy Hometown grant funding that the state has. So one other goal would to start screening individuals for height, weight, BMI type stuff. And then potentially there'll be more radon kits that are free that are gonna go out to communities, so we would distribute them during those health screening times. We plan to tack those on to our foot clinic times when we're already out in the communities in every town. So it'd either be the hour before the foot clinic or the hour after foot clinic for those health screenings. And then it would be this life-saving skills initiative. And then we were gonna sunset 2 programs that we just aren't seeing numbers with anymore. Our diabetes prevention program, we're not gonna offer it after the current session that we have. We're gonna sunset our loan closet that we have. And then this fiscal year, and hopefully it can carry through to next fiscal year, is just Walk with Ease, which hopefully we can get interns to do. So that's just community walking groups. It's geared for those that have arthritis or just want to start exercising again. So that's a 6-week program, 3 times a week. They meet for an hour, they stretch, do a little bit of health education, and then walk, where eventually they're walking for 30 minutes straight. So those are our 3 big things.
Okay. Sounds like a good thing, and yeah, it's definitely with cancer, the radon kits, lung cancer, that's a good thing to promote out.
There'll still be a lot of more information coming on that, so we don't know the details of full on that. Just going through the rest of this expenditures though, tort and property insurance, that might be a little bit overestimated. Dues memberships, we did get questions of what this refund overpayment is for home health that I have in here. So since we used to provide Medicare certified home health, those insurance companies can still come back on us and say, we overpaid you for this claim. And then if they deny all of our requests to dispute that, we end up having to pay yet for home health back from 2021.
How long is that liability? Is it 10 years or what?
7 to 10.
Okay.
So we still have a couple years yet where that may happen.
Okay.
So either way, if that $6,000 project comes out, there was the 2.8% COLA increase. Our expenditures are going to remain about the same. They might decrease by $938 if we receive that grant funding. And then revenues is on the 3rd page. What I requested for FY27 at this point from the general fund is $124,916. Flu shots. I don't know what flu is going to look like based on what the CDC requirements, so that's still ongoing, but $2,500 there. Foot clinics, $10,200. Our Public Health Emergency Preparedness Coalition grant. Oh, sorry, above that is our immunization, that's service contract, that's $10,150. Preparedness grant is $17,955. Our local public health Board of Health grant is $57,285. Miscellaneous is $120. And then opioid just reimbursement costs for projects we're directly related or doing is $10,000.
And Corey, I did pass along your information regarding the advertising at theaters, and Lindsay is looking into that also.
We already did, so we were a step ahead of you there. We were looking at just advertising for other things, so we do have that number. But we can advertise for a lot of things from both funds.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for this presentation, and thank you for the 3 goals. That looks exciting for this next year.
All right, no questions. I'll leave you to your next one. Sorry to take up a couple minutes of your time, Shelley.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're on the auditor. You want to sit in the hot seat or just going to sit in your normal seat?
I'll sit where I'm comfortable, how's that?
Okay, fantastic.
All right, what I have first is my wage sheet.
Okay.
For Part 2 and 10, auditor and elections. What I did with my wage sheet was I started with the bottom line, trying to keep my bottom line. Since I've had changeover twice this fiscal year in my payroll position, I had a deputy in that position, so my budget dropped quite drastically, but trying to keep a respectable wage in hopes to be able to still hire a good qualified employee there. I've got that at $56,000, which is $5,800 lower than what's approved in this current budget. I've got, Stephen is right at 2 years right now, and in FY '27, he'll have hit 3 years, so I'm trying to work him up the ladder. He has been the backup for claims in the absence of someone in that position, so I thought, since our election budget is kind of restricted, rather than growing that one, because it so fluctuates from year to year as it is with our different elections each fiscal year, I put some in the Department 2 line to help grow him in the office, because by the time he's here for 3 years, I can consider him for a deputy. So trying to get, let's not such a great big steps at a time, move him up a little more gradually. Jen will have been there for 10 years. I've been trying to work her up to 8% deputy. 85% would be more ideal for her. She's the rock of the office. And with her years of experience, definitely well earned and well deserved. Everywhere else, I kept the 2.8. For myself, I kept the 2.8 cost of living increase. So once you take those wages, that's my high end that I'm presenting. My Department 10 budget overall will only increase by 0.75%, 0.75%. And Department 2 budget, oh shoot, I cut off on here. That is an overall, I don't know if that opened down here.
It's on your expense page. At the bottom, it says 1.3%.
Yes, 1.3. That's right. So the overall budget, even with those wages, is still a minimum increase. So that's the angle I took in looking at my wages this year. Any questions on wages before I move on to Department 2 auditor's budget?
No?
Expenses?
I have no questions.
Okay, there you can see at the top, for FY '27, just a 1.88 increase for the positions in my office outside of my part-time help and myself at 2.8. I kept things pretty much the same throughout. The House File 718 mailing, I dropped that down by 2,000 from what I've requested in previous budgets, just because of what the actuals have turned out to be. They're closer to 8,000 versus 10,000. Postage and mailing, I dropped a little bit. I didn't put anything in for employee mileage because we almost always use the county cars and don't request mileage reimbursement for the most part. online records, we are increasing the content, so that has gone up a little bit going into this next fiscal year. Education and training, I put 3,000 versus 1,500. I attended the NACO Academy last spring, this time of year through April, and I won it, so I didn't have to pay for it at all, but found it very, very highly valuable. I'd like to send my first deputy, Jen, through the NACO Academy. And if there's other offices or departments in the county that are interested, they're doing this where we can send 5 people for $5,000. So instead of $1,500 per person, it's $1,000 per person. So if we can find others, it was very, very good. I highly recommend it. I know Jan Heidman went through it. I don't know.
Where is it held?
It's online,
Okay.
and it's NACO, very highly promoted for the last 3 to 5 years, maybe.
So yeah, once you reach out to department heads, just tell them that this is an option if we get more costs for them.
Let's see, I was able to drop down dues just a little bit because we had 2 notaries renewals this year, mine and Jen's, so that dropped that down just a little bit. And the rest is benefits from our wages. That's Department 2 expenses. Do you have Department 2 revenue next? I don't know how much detail you want to hear from me, but that's pretty standard. We just have your permits, our transfer fees, our recorder's office is a little more fluctuating and unpredictable. Any questions on Department 2?
Nope.
Department 10 expense, just a 2.8 increase in the wages for the election clerk and then on my extra part-time help for elections who are, thank heavens, they come back year after year and we don't have to retrain new election help every year.
Great.
Minimal increase there. Anything specific, you probably don't want me to go through line by line, do you?
No, you don't.
We have half an hour, I could if you want me to.
Plan is at 10, so.
Oh, I thought I had half an hour. Don't I have 15 minutes?
Everybody's 15 minutes unless you ask.
All right. Then departments and revenue, again, every other year, we have revenue, and the other years we only have, like with voter records are requested, then, so that's very minimal every other year. The other years we collect from the cities and schools.
Good.
Department 12. I added $9,000 to pay property taxes on the farm ground.
Okay.
Also added the annex utilities, which some of that's going to be received back in revenue. I increased board minute publications. It seems like I end up budget amending that every year, which we can continue to do it that way if we want to versus increasing the budget. New mail machine for 5 years increased a little bit. Our outside auditor increases a little bit every year. And then FY '27 is our year for soil sampling. Department 12 revenue, the biggest change there is just receiving reimbursement for the annex utilities for a couple of entities that actually will reimburse us. The rest of it removed out of others' expenses.
Yep.
Department 25, DHS, now known as HHS Administration. The green finally was resolved just this morning with an email. We do continue to get full reimbursement by running it through this budget, so since July 1st, I've been working with them with the transition to figure out how come we haven't been getting reimbursed anymore for the utilities at the annex. We will from this budget, we just have to work out who now is going to be the authorization of those claims, because there's nobody at DHS anymore who used to authorize that claim for reimbursement, so it's just now who, and it might be me. Yeah.
Since we put you in charge of those utilities, you may as well be the person asking for the reimbursement.
I've never been the authorization on this budget, but I didn't know why I couldn't be.
If we need to take some sort of action, do a resolution or something.
Yes, if you deem that, if we need to do that, we'll ask Kachon to put a resolution on.
Sounds good. Department 28, medical examiner, I just increased slightly for dues and mileage. The medical examiners are starting to claim mileage now. They've always been able to. I think they just weren't used to doing it. Now they're getting more used to claim mileage. And then they weren't always asking me for dues either, so that increased just slightly for those two purposes. And revenue with that is when we have a medical examiner case in the county for a resident that's from outside of our county, we invoice the other counties and then they reimburse us. That's how it's written in code, that we pay and then we ask for reimbursement. You ready for 31?
Yes.
Not really, hardly any change. The indigent defense fund, we're seeing a little bit more activity in there than what we had in previous years.
Added the CSN license.
And detention and shelter care is a wild card each year. We just leave that for budget amendments if need be. And those income streams are all behind the scenes happening. The money just falls in there. And it just is what it is. Outside of the Benton County collections, which has been a very good thing for both us and the attorney's office, all of the collections that are being done there, we pay for it, but we get more back than what we're paying for.
Where does the $5 per citation fee show up at? Is that in the budget, or I don't see it here at all? For every citation that a deputy sheriff issues.
Yeah, I think it is. If you look at Departmental 5.
Okay.
And then that revenue, I
Okay.
think it's in there.
All right. I don't have any questions.
My capital project, you look at them at different time, Cassandra, all
No,
together
they can
as
do
one.
your, look at your capital projects now. So Department 41. And it would be under elections, so Department 1.
Yep, that black right there, Bob, is the explanation of the life of our
Okay.
iPads. Our iPads are starting to age out. So ideally, to be able to keep up with them, the life expectancy is 5 to 7 years, which we should consider replacing then. In 2027, we're at 7 years already. And I'm estimating about $70,000 to replace the 35 iPads plus the software that operates them. And the iPads are the check-in process at the polling places that walks the poll workers through all of the many complex laws on each voter, and verifies that they're an eligible voter. It's replaced the paper version of
What
the election version.
happens with the aged out iPads?
That's a really good question for Nate.
Try to sell them, or probably not much value, but I assume.
And the problem with them is they become where they won't take updates anymore.
Yeah.
And then you would lose the security and safety of them.
I'm not sure that's not true the minute you take them out of the box.
The other thing to always think about is our scanners, you know, I think we've talked about it in the past, and I think we've gone with just 1 or 2 years to budget, but we could, like, put some money over several years for when those need to be replaced. I didn't put that in the capital project because we're not in need yet, but if we wanted to keep that more level and do it over several years, we can versus
Should we actually be doing that with this? Should we,
this.
with these, also, if we know they gotta be replaced 7 years from now, should we actually be putting $7,000 per budget year in instead of having,
Put it in where?
put it in her budget somewhere and?
How do you do those when they're carried over? Because
Don't.
several.
That's one thing that we can't, or we haven't been allowed to do is keep a capital project fund where you keep setting aside dollars. I think cities are allowed to, but,
I know other counties do it, so I just don't know how.
Yeah, I think we should look into it and see if there's a way that we can.
Do we have the authority to create a restricted fund?
when we were doing, way back when I first started and I was on the committee with the capital projects, we couldn't find anywhere where we could.
Well, I believe how other counties do it, it would be in my election budget, and then at the end of the fiscal year, it's just carried over, it's like earmarked dollars. How do you earmark
So
them
just
at the end of the
assigned
fiscal year?
dollars.
Yes.
I actually would prefer that if that's a possibility, because that way you're not every 7th or 8th year asking for. Because next year, in 7 years, it's gonna be 80,000.
The other question is the software only available in Apple for the iPads, or is there a
For
Android
10X,
version?
which we're currently using, yes, and No Ink, which is another one I'd like to look into. Those are both iPad versions. There are laptop versions that we used to have, and the ISAC, I believe, is running that program, and when I watch those streams of conversations going on, I'm always glad I'm on 10X. We used to be on the laptop version.
I mean, pay a premium for an iPad. Like, you can go to like a Kindle or an Android type tablet for about 30% of what an iPad is.
Right, yeah, these two softwares.
Right.
That's an option.
So it'd have to be like a Droid-based or Chrome-based
Yeah.
app.
These are very large national companies, and maybe there's getting to be more companies that, we can look into too.
Yeah, that's something for you to research, so that's good. Anything else?
Do you want to wait till FY28 to look at maybe doing the equipment?
I think,
Well, you're gonna have to now, because
Yeah.
you're,
You don't want
you
it.
need it.
Right. Yeah.
You can't wait.
Oh, no, I mean for the optical scanners, the tabulators. Do you just wait till FY28 to have that conversation and have more information first before we?
yes, let's do that, and then we should eventually get to like a 5-year capital plan, and so we know what departments are gonna be requesting, and that's the other way to do it, just making sure we have enough money planned in there, so. Alrighty, good. Anything else, Shelley?
No, I think.
We're gonna jump to Landon.
Morning.
Landon, we got, okay. We got a resolution here.
Yep, this is on the west side of Viking Avenue down there by Wapsie School. I did send this to the school. They had no issues with it. It's actually just south of the school.
So there will be parking allowed on the east side.
Currently, that was a comment not from the school, but from somebody else about also doing one on the east side between their south driveway and the intersection, which is something we could look at as well. But currently, there would still be parking allowed on the east side. This resolution is only in front of the 2 residences that are just southwest of the school there. The primary issue they were having is blocking the driveways, and they weren't able to pull out safely with cars parked either side.
26, what?
14.
I didn't want to give Bob yet.
We hear a motion to discuss Resolution 2614. no parking signs.
Move.
Okay. Second. Any more discussion? No other feedback or?
No, there was some feedback from the Waverly paper previously. A lot of that centered around if we'd had discussions with the school. That was before we had this resolution on the docket. We did have those discussions, so I have received no other feedback.
Okay.
My only concern is that it might cause us more grief on the east side of the road if they park further south on the gravel. I think that
Right.
becomes problematic.
Yep, if they extend it down that way.
The dust, so we may need to
Mhm.
extend dust control a little bit there
Right.
to keep that from becoming a safety problem.
Right.
So yeah, it'd be a good thing to monitor if this passes, a good thing to monitor, especially over their athletic season.
Yep.
Good. And maybe, yeah, just tell the superintendent or athletic director if they have any issues, come back to us.
Perfect.
Okay. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of 2614, right, 14? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Chair votes aye. Resolution 2614 is passed. Thank you, Landon, for working on that.
Yep. I don't have a whole lot else. The one other thing I did want to mention, we have not gotten, we're coming up on that time where we got to make some decisions about our gravel road maintenance plans this year. We have not gotten those counts from the DOT that they did last summer. I reached out to the Office of Traffic and Safety to see if we can get a timeline on those. Excuse me. But just so we have kind of a alternative solution in our back pocket, I did get with LTAP, and we are first on the list this spring to get their radar traffic counter. We've got one on the budget for next fiscal year to purchase our own, but in the meantime, that would allow us to do some counts this spring and get some updated, better traffic information. So he said essentially we can have that whenever we want it this spring, once it gets a little.
You call after Thursday's
friendly.
meeting? Or?
I did, yeah.
It sounded like there was going to be a few calls.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. As soon as I heard people were thinking about it, I got with him right away. He said I was the first one to call, so.
I bet he got more after
Yep.
that.
Yeah, the nice thing there is it's free. The one drawback is if he does get a bunch of calls, then we're kind of, we'll go for 2 weeks or something like that, and then they'll want it back, so our time frame can be limited, but price is right anyway. So we'll do that this spring. Then I really didn't have anything else. I still got to schedule a work session for our construction stuff. I was kind of waiting until we get close to the end of budget time here, probably sometime in maybe late February.
Yep, should work.
Quite some time ago, we talked about the speed limits at Buck Creek and Klinger, and the reason we didn't give any consideration to the Buck Creek one was because of funerals and things that
Yep.
where people need to walk across the road. That was, you were not the engineer then.
No.
That was Todd, and we asked to look into what it would cost to put up a 35 when flashing
Yep.
sign, and it was cost prohibitive because lines had to be buried in both ways.
Yeah.
I'm wondering
They
if-
might, with the
in-
radar stuff, have a little more friendly.
Yeah, I'm
I can
wondering
look
if
into
that is, if we could take a second look and if we could find it not cost prohibitive, if we could then go to the church and, because honestly, if I was sitting on that church board, I would prefer to have 35 when flashing than 45 all the time. That
Right.
speed zone through there makes no sense 95% of the time.
Right.
But if there's a funeral or something going on, then, for someone in the church to be able to flip a button and
Right.
move it down to 35, which is a safer zone anyway. I mean,
Right.
45, people are gonna drive 50.
Yep.
It's not safe to be walking anyway, so. I think it needs to be revisited.
Yep.
When you have lots of extra time.
Yep, I would do that.
You guys okay with that, at least looking into it? And the one at Klinger, we know we have some resistance
Yeah,
there.
there was some strong opposition
Some
there.
strong
when we
opposition
discussed
from,
it.
I believe, one individual. but,
Specifically, yeah.
I still think that at some point in the only argument that that individual has is the intersection coming off of, what is it, 260th
Mhm.
there, because it is a blind spot for
Right.
two different directions.
Yep.
So that one is probably a little tougher
Right.
for that reason. I don't have anything else.
Put that in the plan to investigate. Good.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Back when I was chair, we didn't have to ask for this, but may we have a 2-3 minute recess, Mr. Chair? All right, thank you.
Landon, don't you love it when there's no snow in the forecast?
We still gotta have guys out, yeah.
Both Saturday and Sunday it was snowing and it didn't show up right there. It was snowing.
Isn't that just bizarre?
I remember a conversation either 22 or 23 with Kip about the lack of radar coverage because we're dead center across in Des Moines, 100 miles from each. And when you get a light intensity event,
You guys doing good?
if they turn the
Fantastic.
intensity up on the radar,
Fantastic.
it would look like it was snowing really heavily near the radar.
Yes. It's the big year.
Light snow at the perimeter. And see, KWL used to have Doppler over by Starkville Point, and that's not functioning anymore. They don't use that.
Bring the chair up.
That filled in that gap.
I don't know how to lower mine, so. I'll feel a lever.
I think it was
If you don't want that chair, we got other chairs available.
She should be
Cost to
higher.
upgrade it.
I don't care.
Grab the one behind you.
Is that one higher?
Let me see here.
He was working through Homeland Security to lobby to get an installation, a National Water Service installation in the area.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
There you go.
if there's been any. I was gonna talk to Aaron about maybe reaching out and seeing if there'd been any update on that.
Feel comfortable?
The whole Cedar
That's
Valley.
better. That looks better, yes. And how much time have we got? We got caught,
We're
last
start
year.
10:15. I think we have what, a half hour? Yeah, a half hour to
15
or
minutes.
15 minutes. No, we do start at 10:30 with community
That lady
action.
walked in early on
Yeah,
us
Tricia's
last time, so we gotta get the important stuff out right away.
He's Dale's neighbor.
Oh, really? Dale Price.
Dale is your neighbor, Dale Price.
Pardon me?
Dale Price is your neighbor.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. He just joined our board.
Oh,
Did
okay.
join, okay.
Nice.
We saw your Christmas lights when we were up there to see him.
Nice people. You'll-
Yes, very nice.
Be a nice addition for you.
Mm-hmm.
All righty, we're gonna start. We got your handout here, Kimberly. So once again, team, section 33, Bremer County Historical Society. Why don't you do introductions first for everybody, and then we'll dig right in.
All right, I'm Gina McEnroe from here in Waverly.
Barb Lovejoy Hess, I am now from Denver.
And Kimberly Murphy from Janesville.
Fantastic. So, why don't you just give us an overview of what's your request and then saying some of your goals this next year, and then we can have a good discussion, so.
Awesome. Well, I think we're requesting our operational costs again, which is about $10,000, which, helps us get through the year, and then also helps us really focus on, we've got a bunch of programs ready for 2026 and projects. As the 250th, we're collaborating with a lot of the other historical places here. We're also just talking, we're working on a 2026 passport book, which will encourage the community to go out to all the historical spots in Bremer County. So we're thinking of looping that in with the 250th. and having like a cool activity for the community this summer. And we're working on Tripola cruise to hit up, highlight that area.
Oh, in Frederica.
Frederica, yep. And then I'm next week working with a Stir Event House. We've got quite a few homeschoolers signed up overnight for some Pioneer hands-on programming. So I think that's going to be popular because there was a lot of super quick response and signups for that. And then we've got our fall event. We've already had people talking about that. That seems to be our popular event for the year. But I think our main focus is, getting people interested and, educational, accessible programming that the community to come that's affordable and entertaining, and bringing in new groups to learn about our local history. So.
And the webpage, the cost went up on that, so you went to a different company?
Yes, so we switched the who we are doing our website through, and then I actually last week spent several days, but I've got the main bulk of it designed and repurposed and a little bit more accessible, and so people can sign up with forms or donate or memberships, or we're adding a research archive, so we're working on scanning a lot of our images and documents, and we'll have that accessible. We also did a 360 photograph last year that we're putting into a virtual feature on the website, so that will make it accessible for people that aren't able to come in person and or who are not able to go up the steps will still have access to all our artifacts in the museum. So
You want to tell them about the elevator situation?
yeah, we're still working on the elevator. We needed approval from the governor to use the shaft that we have, and we did not get approval. So now we're trying to figure out how, as a historical building, we could rearrange an elevator because our steps are a little rough. So to get up for everyone, and they're not accessible to wheelchair or anything like that. So that's something we're still working really hard to do.
We did get the Albrecht wing roof redone last summer with a slant. Yes, it's not a flat roof anymore. So we did get grant money to help cover that, and I did just get $5,000 from Guernsey for replacing the windows. We had a few that were really bad shape, so I'm so happy. We were fully funded what I asked for, so we got the people who've already been here. We could go measuring, and hopefully we can get them installed before we open up. Mm-hmm. So I'm pushing for weather being good, like end of February, beginning of March. That's all that we can do that. So the front of the building, the four in front, the boards are really rotted in the middle, so we could have just what happened to the attic windows at the top will come crashing down. So I think the very right one isn't quite as bad, but if we're replacing them, we're going to do them so they all look alike. The other one is second floor, clear to the left, looking at the front. That one we've had leaks on before, and then you noticed all the mold was really freaking her out. Yeah. On the kitchen one, that's on the east side, on the Walgreens side, and then also on the east side on the third floor, clear to the left. That one is like, if you look out when you drive by, people tell me that could fall out. It is not good. So, and that one also has a crack in the brick. So once we get this window project done, my next step will be to get that crack sealed. That was above when they redid the east wall. Remember, they had the plastic tent. This crack was above their tent. They didn't touch it then. They wanted to come back on that. So
does the board discuss, when we did our tour 4 years ago, you kind of pointed out that space was becoming an issue. Does the board ever have conversations about what you do in the future for growth? If you,
We keep eyeing that restaurant next door.
Yeah.
We'd like to get Roy's place.
Yeah. We've discussed different options or satellite stations. We've also discussed, making mini satellite stations to go into like libraries and stuff like that to have like rotating displays. So we've got kind of a list of goals to expand, because artifacts are only gonna keep coming in, so.
Yeah, he wants a lot of money for that building though.
Yeah, I do like, the focus on programs, getting people into the building, but having a program around it, so your Christmas program, et cetera, so, and then partnering with other groups, so I really appreciate that. So that has really been a change in the last, what I've seen in the
Yeah,
last,
it's huge.
2 or 3 years, is the partnerships and more program-oriented,
Yep.
So I really appreciate you focusing on the 250th. One thing that I need to get out to you guys is we want the courthouse, or the Bremer County would like to do something, probably like on Flag Day, the Saturday of Flag Day, something with the Declaration of Independence, a theme there, about the flag, history of the flag, with the Veterans Association, and the attorney will do something about the Declaration of Independence. Sturman House may do like a, signing a declaration with the quill, so have a quill thing. So we're looking at some other partners, so that's something to think about, how we can utilize your talents, time and talents too. So I'll get something to you.
Great.
On that, so. But definitely well-earned dollars, especially this next year. A lot of stuff going to be going on, and just, you guys are doing a tremendous job, so.
Thank you very much.
Anything else to add to that? I'm looking forward to the collaboration on the 250th, on the America 250. It'll be nice to.
Yeah. I think, have you been serving 250 years? I forget. When?
I won't touch that one.
Actually, Jan's going to put in a display in the middle showcase in the Veterans Room on all the founding people for each town in the county too.
Oh, okay.
And then we've got a quilt that will be hanging up that was done by a third grade class in Chipola in 1976. It's got all of the bicentennial things on it, so that's what we got planned inside.
And some of your passport concept, what are some of the sites that might be on this passport that people would, get stamped on?
Well, we'd hit up all the museums. I'd like them to also hit up all the public libraries to find their, historical section per library. I think there's some cemeteries that would be appropriate to visit, having them even, potentially come to the courthouse, and check out what there's available here, if someone wanted to look into history. But there's just so much. There's Cedar Hill, that's now just a little trail. There's so many little gems hidden around. I think it would be neat to have it all kind of laid out, for especially getting children involved, because they're our next generation that needs to know this. So getting them interested in giving them something to do with their families, and you had talked about like having like a puzzle piece for each and then putting it together at the end once they've completed the tasks. But then we're all, networking as a group and working as a team between the different historical museums and, public places, and kind of creating an adventure for the community this year, especially since it's a, special year, so.
You got a handout?
I think they have most of it. I do have, if anyone's interested, I have, we put together Shield, Bantam program. We had highlighted in there, but we have our brochure. I also have our 2025 Look Back newsletter, and then we didn't know if the other ones would be, but if anyone's interested, I have
We had two
Some extras.
excellent programs last year. One was the creamery event. We had Larry Pavlik. He was getting around the county. I got him interested in the creameries that are still standing. And we originally, we were doing that instead of the history cruise, and we were gonna have it at the museum, and I told Barb, we got too many people coming to fit in there. So we ended up we found the Chipola Extension Office. They've got a nice meeting room that was more centrally located in the county, and excellent turnout. People had memories of the creameries. It was really good.
And we
the
brought in the dairy promoters to serve ice cream.
Yep, that was very good. And the other one was helping Tom Baker with the Sheila Banham. We did a display that's now at the museum. We had, working with him on that brochure. To me, that's lasting. You don't know where those panels are stored at even now, and people come into the museum that used to work at Banham that, couldn't make it to the program, very much, are interested in it, so.
Yeah, we ended up having to reorder brochures because we had
More people than we expected.
Yeah, so.
And Larry Pavlik's working on research in mills. He got going on that because the archaeology group wanted to dig in Cedar Bend. He didn't think there was a mill there, and that got him going down that rabbit hole, So I don't think there was ever a mill in Cedar Bend Park. It was west of there, I believe he said. He's finally figured out. So, yeah, that's all interesting, too. So hopefully we can work up a program with him again.
Nice. He has a little bit more time. He just stepped down being our Bremer County Conservation Board chair. He did an excellent job. So we really appreciate his work. So
yeah, it's something he was able to locate that many structures still standing. I was surprised.
Great. Well, keep us informed on some of your projects going forward. Once again, you're doing a fantastic job. And like I said, collaborating with other groups and focusing on 250 is outstanding. So.
Oh, I think we've got a wonderful board right now.
We do.
A positive attitude and be willing to work with others.
Getting
is
some
what
younger
we're-
people.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, our youngest, she's 19 now that joined the board, and we have someone from Des Moines that had last year.
So interested.
He drove half the time to our board meeting. He's like really focused on the history and project. We snagged him in there, so
yes,
yeah. So that's been cool.
Noticeable increase in engagement with the public. Just in my term, I had noticed a big uptick. It's very positive. So
About doubled it, I think.
starts a lot of conversations and interest.
People going through was what, double you said?
Yep, we about doubled people coming through, and then I love social media because you can track like your views, and a lot of our events were reaching 15,000, 20,000, 30,000 people reviewing and watching the videos or interacting with posts and stuff like that, and then we have people returning from other counties and other parts of the state, and we had someone out from Texas interested in doing a documentary and flew up and came up here
I
and
didn't realize that one.
yeah. So I mean,
The cemetery event was very good too.
120 people at that cemetery event. That was astounding. And just talking about all the history of the people that founded our community, that was.
Working on that for next year already.
Yeah. I've had several people ask if we're doing that again, so I think that will have to be something that we work out, because I think that was fun. So
I thought it was come that way.
The creamery idea is a great thing to explore too, because our county is so rural, and many of our young people would have no idea what a creamery. What's a creamery?
Yes, exactly.
Having that historical perspective is awesome.
well, the event was neat because we had a bunch of younger kids there for the ice cream, but then they got to hear their community bring in archives and talk about, we remember, and they were just like, what? You could just like go in and and it was just neat seeing the generations interact and share those stories together. So
Yeah, those old grandpas love telling those kids.
Yes, they
what it was like being on the farm. So I might be one of those.
Well, great. Thank you very much for your time, and
Thank you for.
we got to go to our next subject, so.
Thank you so
Thank you, ladies.
much. We appreciate it.
All right.
Ready for me?
Yep.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. I did bring, and I think we had maybe sent them out previously, but did everybody get a copy of the information?
Yes.
Does anybody need it? You don't have it handy right now? Okay. Okay. I think I know and have met everybody at least once, lots of times. But as a reminder, I'm Tricia Wilkins. I'm with Northeast Iowa Community Action. We are based, our corporate office, administrative office is based in Decorah, but we serve 7 counties within our service area. So the 7 counties within the Northeast Iowa, including Bremer, is about as far south as what we do. I'm in my 17th year with the agency and having served as a chief executive officer for about 7 years. So our agency mission is to advance community development and improve social and economic conditions for individuals and families with limited resources. So we do this with quality family services, advocacy, education, and many, many partnerships. We are federally funded. That's our largest share of revenue. When I say mostly, I mean mostly. About 75% of our funding that funds our operations in our agency is starting with the federal government. Sometimes it goes through the state, but it is the source is federal funding. But we do have state, local, private funding because of supportive counties and cities like you, individuals, and businesses that provide donations to us. I do bring up funding structure every time I go out and talk about our agency because I think it's important to highlight the economic impact that we have on your communities. We're not only helping those who are our neighbors and our friends who are in need, but we're also providing business to local vendors like utilities, landlords, auto mechanics, hotels, grocers, and more. So when we take a look, and I'll kind of refer to that data sheet that's specific to Bremer County on our programs and services, but when we look at Bremer County, you can see that over 1,500 individuals were assisted this last program year, with about 348,344 of, like I mentioned, mostly federal funds going into your county. We employed 2 employees from Bremer County, and we have 1 family services and outreach office with a very, very active food pantry, the busiest that we have in our area, right outside of Waverly, and we just recently located to Horton Road. And I stopped on my way here. I hadn't been to the new space yet, checked it out. I remember when it was our Head Start classroom before. And it looks great. There's lots of work and organization to be done. And Claire happened to mention one of our biggest worries was going from this, the building space just didn't work for us for years, but it was the perfect location downtown Waverly. And so one of our concerns is being outside of town. And she had said that she has not heard about much for complaining at all, and she says she would. And so we are excited to hear that hopefully individuals are finding ways to get out there if they're in need. I know she will absolutely drop off if she needs to do that. There's just only so much of her to be able to do that. So no complaints, which is great news. So we wanted to hear. That was the only concern that we had. It's a nice space. It's a lot bigger. She loves it. So far it's working out really well for us. So to pull back just a little bit further, our whole agency in program year 2025, we served over 9,000 individuals with almost 3.3 million in services across the 7 county service area. I do, the 3.3 million are provided just for financial services. I always want to differentiate between that. Our programs like FADS, which is a home visiting service program, Transit, Head Start, those are service programs, and of course operationally they cost money, but they are not calculated in the 3.3 million. That is just financial assistance provided to those households who qualify. When we take a look just at a few specifics of programs, you'll see LAHEAP, which is Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. Most of us are familiar with that. That's our largest program that we provide assistance to in all areas, in all counties. So what it is, provides financial assistance for a portion of our home heating costs in addition to the repair and placement of non-working furnaces. This year we were a little concerned because we were allocating very quickly and the government shutdown, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So we took a break from the furnaces. We wanted to ensure that we had enough money to be able to provide that supplemental assistance, because that's kind of the priority first. And so we were able to pull a few furnaces in there, but that is dissipating when we see more need and less funding for the actual supplemental assistance for LAHEAP. And so we're in a busy period right now, FY26. And last year's program concluded on April 30th, and we provided assistance last year to 465 households in Bremer County, totaling about just over 216,000 for financial assistance. We also, which is different, have a local crisis program, and that's kind of what it sounds like, an emergency needs that arise for families. They can include food from some of our pantries where we provide that service, but also financial assistance for utility disconnects, rent evictions, medication, car repairs. We have provided temporary housing for someone who might have been evicted of a 3-day hotel stay, just to help them get a little bit more time to figure out what that next plan is. This program does operate year-round, but we rely heavily on local funds and grants. It's locally funded. United Way has been very good for us, and that is a source of our crisis funding. Our coordination, especially with our faith-based churches in Bremer County, is phenomenal, and they provide routine assistance to us for a crisis fund. So that's kind of what has kept that going. So they do great in supporting our agency. So in Bremer, we assisted 129 households, totaling 49,655 in support. Like I mentioned earlier, Bremer County contains the most active food pantry that we have. Last year, we provided assistance to 422 households with over 1,000 individuals served and over about almost 117,000 pounds of food that were provided. A weatherization addressing health and safety in addition to energy efficiency improvements. Most of the work that we're going to do in our weatherization program is insulation, LED lighting, or repair replacement of some non-working furnaces or appliances. Head Start, it's been a rough year for Head Start. Corey knows, he's on the board and has heard me. Head Start offers free full-day preschool services, and we had something that came as a big surprise to us last year at the state level, where we lost nearly $600,000 in state funds, which was our ability to provide before and after school care. Most of us don't work school day hours, and we need that extra care. So in all of our classrooms, we were for decades able to provide before 6 a.m. and then we went as far as 6 p.m. in most of our classrooms for individuals and families who qualified, which is working or going to school, to have that option to drop off their child or pick them up a little bit later than the school hours. So that got pulled from us, utilized for something else, and we lost one staff in every classroom, in addition to having to change our program to doing school day. So we're operating in all of our classrooms bus to bus, where we aren't able to do that before after school anymore. I don't have to ask how I feel about it, because I'm sure you can probably tell.
Refresh me, what was the state's logic?
Well, I don't know for sure, but what happened is there was an initiative last year, and it was the state governor, it was the governor initiative that provided opportunities for grants for preschool programs and childcare centers for before and after school. And we fully support that program, and I attended a legislative event, and I tried to make sure that I communicated that we support that, but you can't take money from here and move it to here. I think that needed to be enhanced, but what we were doing is I think that funding went into that grant pool, so they lost, and this was every Head Start. This is 800 and some slots across the state of Iowa. It isn't just our agency, and so they started in the negative because we lost all those before or after school slots starting. So I don't know how it's turned out, but I do think it was just used for other early childhood initiatives. Yeah.
And you couldn't do a fee for service?
No, we don't do that because they can't. They're qualifying at 100% federal poverty guidelines, and we have to focus in on who can afford it, and so they probably wouldn't be able to afford it. That's a good point. There was a discussion on them applying for childcare assistance, which is a different funding source. Some of that funding may have went into childcare assistance too, but we looked at that upside down, backwards, and the way in which it's set up, you have to have enough children, and when you're operating in one space, it may work because you can have staff that cover for each other. Somebody is gone, but since we're spread out with one classroom in most of our communities, it wouldn't pay for a staff person to be there for the $20 that you may have gotten for 2 or 3 children. So that's what we had found for that, but could have been an option, but
Were any of those programs picked up at the local level?
As far as before and after school,
Right.
if they're attending Head Start, no. Because we probably lost some that went to like this public school district or maybe some private preschool programs that have before and after, but we would have lost them for our entire program. There wouldn't be a way that I'm aware of where you could go to before or after school here and then somehow be transported to Head Start. So some schools may offer it, but public transit, we don't provide that here in Bremer County, but just for your awareness, we do provide that as the Region 1, and that covers all counties except for, within our 7 counties, with the exception of Bremer County and Chickasaw County. Intercog serves this particular area for that. Interesting information that we did have the opportunity to be involved in the Lansing Bridge when that had been closed. We were providing shuttle for individuals interested that went from the city of Lansing to the water taxi, and we were leasing out our vehicles on the other side of the river to that entity too. So we got to be a part of a community need and a community project, which was kind of fun. Government shutdown, we do provide general assistance. We don't here, but we work with 4 of our counties. I always remind our counties that we don't currently provide that service for. If there's ever a good time, or you have a resignation or a retirement, be in touch, because I think we can, if you would talk to the other counties, they would tell you that we do it for very minimal costs, and it impacts and saves on your budget quite a bit, and we're still meeting the needs of the families who come in. So something to keep in mind. Government shutdown, to say this year has been a challenge for our agency is an understatement. The beginning of 2025 saw a federal funding freeze that had concerned us greatly, but ultimately didn't affect our operations. We talked about Head Start saw major changes, and the recent government shutdown created an environment of instability that I have not experienced in my 17 years working at the agency. I think one of our biggest concerns was LAHEAP beginning their year on 10/1, government shutdown coming on 10/1, we continued on our program. We didn't pause it. And so, we can guarantee funding to our big providers like Alliant Energy and Black Hills, and it's going to be okay. But what provided a big level of risk is the number of deliverables in our particular area. And we, just for your information, have the largest amount of households with deliverables in the whole state. Our particular region does. And so in deliverables, I mean propane, fuel oil, alternative sources of fuel, where if we are guaranteeing a vendor that we're going to provide a certain amount of assistance, they're going to fill up their tank. And if the government doesn't come down with a contract for us, which we didn't know, it was scary, we can't go back there and pull that fuel back out of the tank. And so we had to figure out a way where we weren't putting ourselves at risk to be paying and looking at our local funds and how we're going to pay for that. Because we also didn't like having this relationship, these super important relationships that we have with our vendors, and then saying, well, it's in your contract that, you still have to do it, but we're just not going to pay you because there's no funds. And so we had to have big conversations at the state level, and they were really able to cover us. They did. HHS, being a bigger department than what we used to have, does have a positive point of maybe having more funds and being able to cover us if we needed that. We didn't. We got to 2026. We got our contracts. We got our funding. So we just continued on. So we're hoping that things are going to be a little bit smoother into this year. We'll see. So yeah. Any questions?
Just like to say, going through the federal shutdown, you did a phenomenal job with communication.
Thank you.
You guys always do great work.
Thank you.
Have for years, so thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and your new food location pantry, yeah, the old one was dingy and hard to step up, and, you know.
Yeah.
This one is much better, and
Yeah.
especially with the elementary school there, I assume a lot of people get to see it.
Yep.
As they drive by, so
Yep.
it's a good location, so.
Yeah, it's amazing the difference in what the food space is and just how much better and how much more room, and the bathroom's nice, and yeah, it's good.
That building has really been a multi-purpose building over the years. I mean, it served as a courthouse, a courtroom. Remember when we moved the courthouse out there, or a good share of it, not all of it, but
Sure.
through the last remodel in the 2000s.
Well, and we own that building. Interestingly, it was kind of built as a modular temporary building for a Head Start classroom years ago. But interestingly, we still, because Head Start paid for it, we as the agency had to buy it from and had to pay HHS back for that amount, which we tried to ask different ways, but that was what it is. They said you've utilized it for that purpose, the federal funding purpose. Therefore, if you want to use it for something else, then we had to use our local funds to purchase it. But I'm glad we did. It's worked out really well so far.
Good.
Was it primarily just the court system that was moved out there? Now that I think about it, I think it was, wasn't it? It was third floor.
Yeah, because the treasurers went up.
Yeah, it was third floor that was moved out there.
They were in the, I think, somebody lives in now. Aren't they?
They're in the lower level of it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the building next to it.
Yeah. See, ours is a modular, like a temporary building. Must be close
You're
in the same
thinking
drive.
the old Ike's building?
Same
Yeah.
location.
Isn't that where
Yeah,
we're
there's
talking?
definitely and I'm not sure
No,
what they are, but
Ike's
a
is
couple of
one-
spaces
is
there.
the bigger building, and then next to it is the Northeast Iowa Community.
I'm not, it wasn't a real big building. It was like like a house with a walkout basement.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the Ike's.
to the south
Okay.
side, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So close by to it.
And
Okay.
It's just a
Any-
private residence now.
Yeah.
Anything else for me at all, or?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So where's this modular
Right to the north of it,
at? North of it.
yes.
Same parking lot, same driveway.
Okay,
It was a daycare for a while.
okay.
Stuff in the.
Which one has the old car, or the new car sitting out front of it?
That's the old Ike's. It's a private residence now.
Okay.
Wait a minute, we don't take old supervisors.
I'm just here so Danny can buy lunch.
Yeah.
No reason I came.
Hello, yes, thanks for having us.
You guys don't need to stay for, okay.
Hi, Tim.
They were asking about the coffee.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, Renee.
You'd never get rid of anybody.
Hey there.
Hi.
I'm here, other half.
This happened to work out before we head to Arizona and Texas.
Last
We're back in
surgery is
April.
next week. so-
What?
Her last surgery is next week, so. Doing good, thank you.
All righty, we got the Bremer County Fair Association. So, you want to do introductions first so everybody can know? Who we got here?
Yes, so my name is Nicole Reynolds-Timish, and I am the president of the Fair Board currently.
I'm Danny Bowles, of course, been here before, with treasurer, still treasurer for the fair.
Renee Neal, marketing manager.
Tim, just a board member.
Fantastic. So go ahead, give us your updates, and then we can talk about your budget requests and anything else that you want to discuss. And you got about 10 minutes.
We started 5 short, though.
I went ahead and I forwarded
Did
what
they?
you said this
Okay.
morning.
We have
Yeah.
paperwork, yeah.
So I did get that all put together, what you wanted for the final proof of disbursement of the final funds that were available through the ARPA. So if that's not right, you can work that out or whatever, but it's all, I updated that spreadsheet that's on the front page. So that you just, it's kind of busy, but it actually shows that we totally spent, that I ear tagged for ARPA money, a little over $1 million, and we only got dispersed for the 963, with the difference being that cost of the ground.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So Any other questions with that somebody may have, or otherwise? We've been working through it all right.
So everything is in line, Cassandra?
Yeah, I'll take a look at the expenditures. The last time you gave an update, you guys hadn't fully spent it, so now you have. And then the county also gave you a grant from the county, and that was for air conditioning.
Oh, last year's.
And so is that completed now?
Yes.
As well? Okay.
Yes, but you didn't need any documentation from
Go
that,
ahead and
did you?
just say who you paid,
Oh, okay,
and then we just have it on record. that
Okay,
you
yeah.
utilized it.
all right, yeah, no problem. So I guess other than that, initially, Cassandra wanted to know what our budget request was, so we hadn't got together as a board and discussed that yet, but I went ahead and I put in the 20,000 that we've got for years already, doing that, and then after we got together as a board, the board was thinking that we could use additional funds for some other projects and stuff, and so then the letter I sent out today had an extra 40,000 on there for improvements around that 4-H building. So I don't think I need to read the letter, you all got a copy of it.
Yeah, so our goal with that 40,000 is that we just want to make sure that we are accessible to all fairgoers or residents that come onto the fairgrounds. So we have done some really neat things since we've opened up the fairgrounds. We are very proud that we are hopefully becoming one of the bigger fairs in the area. It helps with economic development. It helps with showcasing for the youth and families, and there's just so many benefits for Fair Week. But we've really started to try to do our outreach outside of Fair Week as well, so that way we can hopefully be a bigger pillar to the community in other ways than just Fair Week. So I'm not sure if you guys had seen that we did something new this year with the haunted hayride. So that was a really great event that we had. The community loved it, so I'm sure we'll continue something very similar to that in the fall of next year. But we also are trying to partner with the community and different organizations as well. And so with that, we want to make sure that everybody can access the grounds the best that they can. So that's where that 40,000 comes up, to just make sure that we can accommodate everybody, whether it's strollers, wheelchairs, a multi-generational participation, seniors, anybody with disabilities, things like that. But we also want to make sure that if there's any sort of emergency access needed, that they can do that in a safe and efficient way as well, because our grounds are very big. I'm sure you guys saw that when you were walking around on the fairgrounds this past summer. And it's a lot different than the fairgrounds that we were used to being on, where we had 100 years of people packing every inch of the ground, where you could pretty much roll a stroller anywhere, because the ground had been packed for so long and it had enough traffic. So we just want to make sure that we are being proactive, rather than reactive when it comes to emergencies, and making sure that everybody can get around efficiently. We also, you can go ahead and stop us for questions at any time.
So you're looking at like gravel pathways or cement sidewalks? What are you looking at?
Yep, so we're looking at, you guys can jump in at any moment as well, but we're looking at making sure that it's hard surface for the strollers, the wheelchairs, all of that, making sure they're ADA compliant. Sure. So we do have a section that has a pretty big drop off. So we've already been looking at making sure that there is the zigzag to make sure that it's compliant, so that way we don't have anybody having accidents or anything like that, because we want to make sure everybody is safe on the grounds. We also, depending on how far it can go, because we're hoping we can, stretch it as far as possible, making sure that we have certain areas that are designated for handicap accessible parking as well. So not just necessarily walkways, but making sure that they have a safe place to get to the buildings or frequent spots for the handicap as well for parking.
And we're open-minded to it all, I think we come maybe last year and said we don't know what we don't know, but now we know a little bit more because of our first year, and the fact that we did do it. We had a really good fair with all the things that were thrown at us, of course, the Sunday night storm and the Monday night storm, and still we had record crowds, record income, so we set all kinds of records with all the perils we dealt with. But through that process, we did see how the people flowed through the facility, which is part of that request too. That would let us do more, but the people want to come out of that 4-H building and they want to either go southeast or northeast. So we need to hard surface that rather than just put wood chips down and crawl up the hill. You know, that's one thing that is pretty high on our list to improve what we've got even from where we're at.
I actually took my time and really walked around nice, saw the whole facility, met Renee way out in the camper area, and know exactly where you're talking about, and I applaud you for recognizing that and planning to do something, because where I walked down that hill was kind of dangerous. If it was wet or anything, it would have been probably
But
more
that's
dangerous.
where the people kind of congregated and made their way.
Yeah, so you're right, it really desperately needs some better walkways.
And of course, Mother Nature didn't help us out at all, but it really
It was
did
just
hurt.
dry when I was there.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
Oh, yeah.
Before the storm.
Yeah.
But we helped a multitude of moms with strollers. They really struggled, but they were good natured about it all. They knew that, you know, we had the worst possible environment around us, and we're just awed in what we did have, but they did struggle getting around with the wood chips.
I guess an
and the mud.
option would be you could buy yourself a hitch of horses and a wagon and just haul people around and make it really.
Well, we had the golf carts. You have
We'll
probably-
need more for
We
that,
also
but.
have two shuttle trailers too that
Yeah.
we built.
And the Lions Club did
People
golf
haulers.
carts.
Yep.
Yeah.
They come out with them.
But we also learned other safety things too. If you were down there doing, you know where the food trucks were lined along the center promenade?
Mm-hmm.
Our goal this year is on the south one, be the yard up against the event center. We're gonna put a service road by
good idea.
terrace the wall up so we can make a leveler and put a service road so we're delivering pop and all those things. You're not weaving down through the crowd, you're servicing them
Good.
back behind. But we didn't know the first year.
Yeah, we have a lot more confidence now moving forward. Not that we didn't have any before, but it was kind of bittersweet to have all that rain and storms because it taught us a lot about navigating the grounds, and for not just us, but for the people as well.
And parking problems. We learned a lot by the end of the week.
But we were to accommodate everybody.
Yeah, we did, but
We had all hands on deck there that Wednesday night because they were lined up, they said, to like the soccer complex that far.
But a lot of it too was at the bridge out, that funneled everybody down a different path too, where, you know, by the end of the week, a lot of people realize you can go north out of the fairgrounds, although it was at 300th Street, whatever that is, you can come in that way a lot different if you live that direction and not get
come
into
out
that,
in there by Bronco.
the highway traffic, yeah. You learned a whole lot.
Yeah, so sorry.
So good.
So we're hoping that it obviously is helpful when it comes to Fair Week, but like I was mentioning, we're also trying to make sure that we are being a pillar outside of Fair Week. So we have a lot of great partnerships going on as well, and we just want to make sure that it's accessible to everybody all times of the year as well. So when it does look like this outside, if we have an event and we have, you know, completed areas of walking or whatever, we'll be able to maintain it a little bit easier as well.
Are you keeping good enough records to be able to, at some point, express to the public what the annual generation of revenue for the?
Yeah, that's actually part of the annual report that the association puts together with every county to show total expenditures and income, and where every county can see where they fall
Is that for
in.
all events throughout the year, Danny? or is that
Yeah,
just
that's
for the fair?
total, annual, yeah.
Okay.
not
You have
just
to
fair.
divide it out though.
Yeah, well, that's what the annual report is, shows fair and non-fair.
Yeah, but I mean, you go down deeper in our report, you can tell
For
about how many
events.
people came to the combine one, how many
Yeah.
came to different events, what they generated.
So I guess my question then is what number is that for this past year? Is that available yet, or how much revenue was generated primarily for Waverly, but for Bremer County for that?
Well, total receipts were like over $1.5 million with everything.
Our receipts, but it doesn't, we don't have any way to know the economic, you know, you're talking
Economic
benefit.
impact, right,
Yeah.
that's my question.
Yeah.
There's Bob, there's
The-
gotta
the
be someone
rollover
down in
effect
Des
that
Moines
way,
that's gonna
yeah.
figure that out. That's not available yet. You don't have that.
You'd have to work with the chamber, they'd have to get some
Yeah.
type of coefficient, but
Yeah, they got numbers they work with there, the multiplier facts.
But this year, don't we have one of the big tractor rides? Aren't they centered on our fair?
Yeah, there's several
Going a different
events
direction every
already.
day, so we got them in and.
And we're in the process of interviewing a part-time, maybe full-time, but right now part-time general manager, event coordinator position to concentrate on marketing what we have here, to get the operations going. So we do have some debt. If you've seen the annual report, we did accumulate some debt through it.
And most of the maintenance is being done by volunteers? Or-
Yeah.
And hired, what you can't do from a volunteer perspective.
Yeah, well, the general maintenance, like what Waverly always did for us before, is now all done by volunteers, specifically Tim, on a lot of mowing.
I mean, three of us
Helps
mowed,
out.
it took right 22 hours to mow each side. So,
Yeah, there's a lot of mowing.
yeah.
We've got
It's a big
weddings
area.
starting to acquire dates, and that kind of thing. We've got CPR classes coming up, next week or something?
About a month, we'll do
K9
training.
K9
Yep.
thing.
Yep, and then, so we're gonna be working with some different area units for K9, and they're gonna be doing a training out there probably, I think it's in about 2 weeks. So we're partnering with them. There's gonna be CPR training that's going to be available out there. That's in the next month, I believe. We've done vendor shows, so that helps, the smaller businesses and people like that. We're looking at the bigger events, so like Danny said, we're looking into and moving forward with hiring somebody in that part-time, full-time-ish place, so that way we can keep moving forward.
Just our winter storage, we used to fill the barn down here. Well, Roy did the same thing, and we put them in and figured out the big livestock building. The one side we didn't use, one lean-to, just the center and one side. We put the same people in, we were less than 25% full. I mean, we kept 4 times the revenue. I mean, the revenue was in
It
the,
increased the rates too and stuff, so it
so I mean,
generated some income there,
It's well lit. There's a lot of nice lights out there. I went by the other night on the way to a Board of Health meeting, and it was like, wow, that's really nice lighting out there.
all righty, we're approaching our time, so I think we got your request, we understand it, that's the 20,000 plus additional 40,000 now, and make sure you work with Cassandra on the ARPA. So we definitely appreciate all the work you guys done. You've done, the first fair, like you said, it was, all the curveballs are thrown at you, and you guys done an excellent job. It's so impressive that you work together so well, so.
So did all of you make it there during fair?
That's my vacation week, but I made it for the last 2 days.
Very good.
Several times. So yes, thank you very much. Anything else?
And anything else? Thank you,
Okay.
guys.
Some point in time, we'll have to talk about the land out there. I don't know when we'll do that.
That needs to be a discussion with us first probably, and then.
Okay.
we appreciate the extra parking during the
Yeah.
fair. I've been mowing it, but we use it for parking that week, big time.
And if there ever is an opportunity funding to do some hard servicing to access our 4-H building and your property, at least that main entrance to our facility, I think they're gonna redo 39th Street very soon. Yeah,
City.
City, it would do that, but to bring that on into our property a little ways, that'd really be a great opportunity, but I don't know how the funding of that all would work, or who
That's a
who
city
could partner
thing.
with that.
Those city mayors. So, talk to them, but yes, let's make sure that we discuss that property at some point in time. Great, thank you very much.
And I've got an annual packet that I always put together for our annual meeting and distribute with the fair board, and it's all public information, but it kind of shows the history of the fair, how it's grown through the years, and the money aspect and attendance. Are you interested in that or not, or?
Yeah.
Sure.
Then I'll give it to Cassandra if she wants to make copies of it. You can keep that.
Yep, I'll get it scanned in to them.
Yeah, okay.
So everybody's got a copy.
There's a lot of good information in there too.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Enjoy the warm weather.
What?
Enjoy the warm weather.
I will, I checked down, the average temperature down there is 80, 60s and a little
somewhere?
over. And we're going to Texas for, we'll leave, we'll be back sometime first part of April.
Aren't you going down and then going to Arizona too, or?
Flying to Arizona first, my
Okay,
brother's got a
that's-
condo down there, down
that's
and back.
Well, have fun.
Thank you.
We're down by, we're 10 miles from George and Colleen Miller down.
Okay.
McAllen, south of there yet, a little bit.
Won't be any stories flop down there.
Seeing you.
All righty. We got the Bremer County Conservation Board here.
I just printed out a couple other things.
Good.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll jump right in. I don't know if were you at the last, this is Patty Spoward, one of our Conservation Board members, our board chair this year. She just got appointed as the chair.
Congratulations.
Yeah, replacing Larry after he got off. So we'll just go through, I think starting with, I think on the agenda is the county farm, Department 13. And on that one, there really isn't any changes. I had reduced a little bit on the natural and LP gas by $100, but then increased our electric because we've been spending a little over that what has been budgeted, so we increased that, and a little bit on the building repairs. But overall, from next year to this year, it's $50 difference, but so pretty much the same.
Good.
The land acquisition fund 19, the expense side, again, we've left that the same as in previous years, so no changes on that one. On the revenue side, we've got in there the amounts that we asked to be transferred over at the end of June, which is staying the same. Everything is basically staying the same. I had reduced the grants and reimbursements. Last year we knew that we had a grant coming, and we knew that the funds were going to be coming in for a state grant. This year, at the time, didn't really know that at the time, so we reduced that some. But I did just find out kind of a preliminary notice that we are going to be getting some funding through that forest resiliency grant that we were asking for, which was actually will end up being around $80,000 in that grant, and the official agreements and everything haven't been signed yet, so we don't really know for sure.
That will be $80,000 that you will receive?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's more of a U.S. Forest Service money, so they were actually trying to get, they were asking for $100,000 minimum grants, and it was 80% match. So
we're doing planting with that then?
it'll be planting and timber sale and harvest, and then a follow-up cut after that. So the expenses will go towards planting the seedlings and the follow-up cut, and then some timber stand improvement on 30 or so acres on the Wapsie. So it's a pretty big one. And then that was the Department 19. So now we get into, I think we're into 22 now, which is the heart of things. So we met as our conservation board a couple weeks ago. Bob joined us for the meeting, and we initially were looking at the study that was done and doing some comparisons. What I printed out for everybody was that study the information kind of from that study, based off of numbers. Our organization, Iowa Conservation System, does their own salary survey. So I was using those numbers to base the wages for myself, the naturalists, and our techs from the 22 counties that were used in that survey. And then I had looked at some of the other counties, some of them being the same, but our neighbors and some with similar population size, similar budget size is what those numbers are that you have there. So we were using some of those comparisons as well as the state average, and came up with some percentages, and sound like has been a few changes to those, but right now it looks like, and we haven't really talked more at our conservation board from the original meeting a couple weeks ago, but it sounds like the 2.8% is the kind of going figure right now. Liz, our newest naturalist, is higher, with that being her trying to work through a step increase schedule and catch up to what our other full-time naturalist is. And basically she's a year in. At year 2, we're hoping for around 85% of what Angie is the next year, 90, next year 95, and then follow up with the 100%. So that's why that one was higher. And then the percent change on the director side, I was thinking that the wage compensation study was shown on that position was a little on the low side. And then just looking at the numbers from these numbers are all from fiscal year 26, and where that 5.5% would get for fiscal year 2027, it gets closer to this year's averages through those 22 counties and the state average. And then as far as our seasonal ask, we generally been getting some seasonal employees. Last year we actually had some pretty good applications and some good workers for us. So we just kind of averaged that up a little bit. It was 21,066 this year, and asking for 22 next year. So it was a slight increase to try to be somewhat competitive on recruiting our seasonals, because they had been getting kind of harder to find here. So if we move on to the rest of the 22 budget with those numbers included in it, we again are staying relatively consistent with our numbers from this current year. The one change that the few changes that we did have in our roads and road rock line item 212, we increased that by a couple $100. We increased our natural and LP gas by $100, and basically when we do these increases, it's looking past at the past year's numbers and trying to be a little more consistent with those. Otherwise, our water tests for 485, increased that one by $100 or so. They've just increased their prices a little bit on the water test, so we increased that $100 to make up for that. And then the rest of the line items are basically staying the same. I kinda went through some of that stuff pretty quick. Was there questions on any of that? And like I say, we met with our conservation board, and we haven't really discussed any changes to the percentages than what we had presented, but these are what are in there right now. We'll meet again in February and can kind of talk more about things, but looks like bottom line for our wages and benefits and everything, we're right around 600,000. So I guess, however, if that's a respectable number, then as a board, I guess we would try to figure out how exactly that all gets distributed for everybody to make sense for everybody too. Any questions on those? I went through that pretty quick.
And Patty, you talked there about your goals for this next year, and I think number one was your cabin approach.
Correct.
So they're doing very good on that. So you want maybe, I think cabin, I think you talked about pickleball, and I think Finn, I don't know what else, the restoration, but pickleball you guys talked about. So what are your goals this next year that are going to be changing, or you're going to be looking at? I don't want to steal your thunder, so.
Yep.
So our main goal this year, I know we've been talking about a cabin project for several years now. We feel we finally have a good start on the fundraising goal. We have enough in our other accounts that we can look at proceeding forward with that cabin project. We're proceeding with drawings and hope to have that out for bids by the end of February to get some numbers back that we can hopefully get started on that this summer and have it ready to go either by the fall or first thing next year. Another thing we talked about is adding a pickleball court. Pickleball is extremely popular in the area, and there don't seem to be very many courts that people can go and play. So we're exploring different park opportunities that we have where we could place one of these and think of some other activities to get people out and about, kind of enjoying nature more. Again, Andy mentioned the
North Cedar campgrounds
the North
upgrades.
Cedar campground upgrades as well. Looking at possibly getting some more gravel sites, possibly upgrading the electricity at the lower level campsite as well there. And then the timber stand grant that we received too is going to be another huge improvement for those areas.
Yeah, we'd like to upgrade the electric sites at North Cedar to get those gravelled and 50 amp service, and I think that, and you know, we're talking online reservations and stuff too, and the more clear cut we can make those individual sites and easily marked and easily reservable, then that's kind of the direction that we want to go. So that was another one that 16, 20 sites, not huge, but I think for that park is a good solid number. We might get more than that on a busy holiday, but a lot of weekends we're not getting that many. So if we can get 15, 16 on most every weekend versus 25 on 2, I think we'll be sitting better. So that's one that we want to go towards.
And you talk about electronic reservations. You're thinking about once the cabin is built, then you would start putting sites, cabins, picnic areas, and et cetera, potentially on.
It'd be on My County Parks website, so we would have, we want to have that in place for the cabin for sure. Just ease of phone calls and knowing what's available and when, and collecting the revenue up front through the credit cards, and then we would add our Eagle Lodge, our other open shelters, and then we could put some campsites on there as well. Yep. So as far as the revenue side goes of Department 22, again, are leaving a lot of that stuff the same. We did increase the revenue projections for Northwoods, the past few years has done well there in comparison to what it used to be. I guess that out of our 4 parks, that one generally was the lowest revenue of the 4. Now it is the second highest of the 4, with the additions of the campsites and dump station, playscape, and disc golf. So increased that some. Increased Eagle Lodge facility a little bit. We raised the rent on that by $25. So I think that's still a respectable number that we'll be charging for that.
And that's effective
basically
now,
same.
or-
It's effective now for people that call in and make reservations. We have reservations that were made at the end of this season for this year that are staying the same, but yeah, it's beginning after our January 7th meeting. REAP 81, revenue side and expense side is unchanged. The revenue side is our per capita and per county obligations that we receive, and then the interest that's on that they've been staying pretty regular. But otherwise, our expenses, we are leaving the same. And then the capital expense that we were seeking this year was to replace one of our older half-ton pickups. It's actually a 2001 Chevy pickup that has
Just broke in.
Yes. It served its life, but
2001.
2001.
You got your money's worth, I'd say.
Yep. But we would like to go with the extended cab 3/4 ton, so that way we've got something additional to pull a trailer if needed. We've got an F450, a diesel that we do most of our pulling with. It's a dump body, and then we've got a 2006 F250 that is another puller besides our dump trucks. But we'd like to go with that 3/4 ton extended cab, just for the room and everything. Price wise, it isn't that much different, but we were thinking around $48,000 for that, and looking at state bid prices, and I think similar to what roadside department got one here not too long ago, so, and that's pretty close to what they had spent. So that went through. Oh no, it didn't. 96. Yeah, 96. We don't have too much left in that anymore. $2,700 is what we have left in that one, so we've got that budgeted. We ended up spending about $6,000 this year on some concrete repair or asphalt repairs on that, and so that 27 is what's still left in there. Anything after that will just be part of our operations budget, 'cause I don't think there's anything else really going into it.
And Patty, if Waverly does any changes on their side for electric pipe and stuff like that, you guys may have to review that and see what you want to do on your side.
I just heard something on the way in that there's potential legislation or new rules where treat them like a motorcycle almost, where you need permits, and kids need permits to drive them and everything
Never
else.
gonna happen with all the elderly people that are riding them.
Yeah, I just heard that on the way in.
Political suicide for a lot of legislators. It's not gonna happen.
That's good. My daughter has one, so.
I wonder if this is another one of those situations where we should start setting some money back into this account, the Trail One. Because at some point, there's gonna need to be some pretty extensive.
Major, yeah.
And
That's not the only trail we have, correct?
It's the only hard surface one that we have. The Terpolas is not, nope. No, and they haven't approached us with that at this point.
I think going forward, it would be wise to
Yeah.
try to build that back up rather than depleting it and getting rid of it and then having to have a 1 year, okay, we need $80,000 to redo 4 miles or 6 miles?
About close to 6.
6
Where
miles.
did, that money that was left in it before was extra from,
The
just
project.
grants and
Right,
project
right,
funds and
right.
everything. Where would the potential money come from to put into it? Say if we had
Well,
any little bit left over at the end of the year that could potentially be transferred into it or something?
I think you need to put you know, we need to know what would be required. I know, you know, I assume that there's gonna have to be some grant money too. So you gotta come up with a plan and then we'll see what type of source we can do.
Right now, it's not in too bad a shape, but I think the one time, I think Landon was in here, we talked about it a little bit, and
Well, there's a demand for trails, so, you know, I mean, I'm not a huge tax guy, but if you gotta tax a little bit every year, it's better than coming up with a large amount of taxes in 1 year, so.
okay,
You
yeah.
know, if you have to start levying small amount of money to put in it to keep our trails nice and expand them, you know, that trail should actually go to Old Warren. Just throwing out the cat.
All right. But yeah, I think you need to have a plan, and some
I
of it
agree.
is maintenance of it plus replacement. All right, thank you very much. Doing a good job. I really appreciate all you guys' work, so.
Thank you.
Any questions quick before
I'm good.
anything? All right, thank you.
Okay.
I'm gonna get a glass of water and then we'll start.
Move to go into closed session.
Give me the Iowa code.
Good morning, good morning.
Morning, Sheriff.
Morning.
You can sit up front.
See what happens.
Here's a chair. Nice roll, you don't have to. Yeah.
Nice and cool out there today, huh?
It's a good day to stay in.
Yes, it is.
I see Friday like a high of 7 below.
Jeez. That's cold.
Wind chill, I think they're talking close to 50 below. That's, I would have believed at school.
Yeah,
That's cold.
I think Friday morning's 13 below with pretty good breeze, so.
What's that?
I'll be surprised if they have school Friday with
Yeah.
combined temp and wind chill and.
Corey, are you doing the snow dance for tonight?
Have they changed the forecast? Is it up any or? is it
I think it's getting worse, right?
1 to 3. 1 to 3 this morning, what I heard. I don't know if that's changed.
Wondered about that, but I'd rather safe than.
A little bit weak. Is it okay? So it's what, there was a pretty tight band like lacrosse decor, so it's probably moved south.
On Sunday, and then the wind blew so hard Sunday night, I'm like, I'm not touching it again. The snow was out there. So I'll wait to do it.
Bob leave?
Get water.
It'd be worth it to get the.
I was thinking
You go to Quick Start?
No.
budget.
Is it worth my time?
The one
For
Sioux
the shovel,
Falls.
or can I finally get a
Nothing
snowblower
changed
out
on
there?
revenue, just had the blanks on, so. Just waiting for this today.
So I waited till Sunday morning, and then I went out.
Are you
and
hanging in
started
there?
on the west side and kind of kept blowing it to the east because that's
Mm.
blowing so
I
hard
gotta
in the
pivot.
west.
I gotta go back to
And I just kept
housing
moving
now,
and then
because
moved the truck
got a lot
out
to
of the
do, I
way.
got
And
taxes
just moved it all
tomorrow,
over and.
waiting for this to be done,
Got it
and
cleaned and then for Sunday night, that wind kicked in.
Is it really ever done?
I mean, it's so easy. Look at the top of the snow, it's just dusty,
Yeah.
you know?
Off the top of the snow, like, hit me into the gazebo again.
All righty.
It's dirty.
Yeah.
Dirty.
Board of Supervisors, Department 1.
There's nothing in your books because I haven't received a budget.
I'm requesting no change.
I just have 2 items I'm gonna adjust downward. I'm gonna take my employee expense from 1,000 to 600 and educational and training, down from 600 to 500.
Okay.
Enough guidance?
No change for you then?
No. Change.
Yes. And I'm just gonna pencil in the whopping $30 of revenue again, and we'll see if you get it.
It's the chair's responsibility to market that, isn't it?
Alrighty. One thing we've been meeting on is salaries, and, talking with our HR, Cassandra, about where we are, and I think we have, Barbie, want to come up here? We have a stat that we want to show you guys that, with a 2.8% increase, taking a look at the wage survey, that, can we meet some adjustments there? And trying to narrow the gap between some employees to others, so where we can make some improvements there, which is going to be discussionable. So that's what we have, and this is just a draft for us to review. And so we have 2 columns here. This is what column 1, requested by departments, and then column 2 is what we believe is a 2.8%. It is a 2.8% stepped increases, and then adjustments, looking at wage salaries, looking at narrowing gaps between certain positions within the county. So this is our take. So I'm going to have Barb kind of go through this. So slowly, so.
Okay. So I met with department heads and kind of got their take on the upcoming fiscal year when it comes to wages and a review of the wage analysis that we had done. I met with Bob and Cassandra at 2 different points to kind of put together some recommendations. We had additional columns in the spreadsheet, looking at 2.8%, which is the cost of living, expected cost of living. We looked at 3%, we looked at 2%, we looked at 1.8%. And with the funds that we think we have available, how much we can squeeze out of that. So we're showing the 2.8%, plus the steps that departments already had in place for their employees, and plus some adjustments that we made ourselves based on the information that we have, information from the wage analysis. And so we just put this together for the recommendations. Basically, a lot of this is just cost of living. If you want to go down through department by department, these are numbered in department number order. Board of Supervisors, just the standard 2.8% cost of living. Going down to the auditor's office, Shelley was making some changes, increasing a deputy to 80%, increasing the election deputy, or making him a 60% deputy at this point. We have an open position in that department right now, a payroll and AP, that she would like to step up just to make it a competitive wage. This is on the spreadsheet. Other staff just added 2.8% is what our recommendation was.
And that payroll position may have steps depending on the qualifications of the individual, so. Okay.
Okay. Moving on down to the treasurer's office. Adam has 3 employees that are in the deputies that he is stepping up. And that will be happening in fiscal year '27. He will increase one to a 70%, we'll have a 67%, and we'll have a 65% deputy. So we left all that in place. He has 2 other employees that he let me know that he is going to be increasing their hourly wage mid-year or sometime within fiscal year '27. So we did put that into the spreadsheet as well. That's something that he had in place. And he currently has a position right now that we are filling, and he's going to leave the open position right now, starting at 18.75, so no change to that at this time. Okay. Attorney's office. Cost of living for most of those, with the exception of is it the first assistant or second assistant county attorney?
Just assistant county.
Just assistant county attorney. The COLA plus an extra 1% at this point, because there's a 5-year step plan in place to get him up to, I believe, 75% of the attorney's wage within 5 years. And then we have the administrative assistant. He kind of reviewed her workload with the increase, a 3-to-1 ratio of attorneys to admin. He is looking at a straight 5% increase for that position, which we did leave in the spreadsheet as something over and above the COLA. Coming down to the sheriff's office, Department 05. Dan had step increases for many of the lower deputies, some of the lower jailers, so we kept those dollar amounts as step increases. Reduced the COLA to 2.8%. I think he'd used 3% in his budget coming up with numbers. We used the 2.8% plus those step increases that he had in place. We did make some adjustments to his department in the thinking to help reduce the difference between the top and bottom when it comes to the deputy positions. He has 2 deputies that are in the higher positions, and so rather than giving them a 2.8% COLA, we have them as a 1% increase for this year. As with one of the admin positions, we have the higher of those positions set up as just as a 1% increase rather than the COLA, to kind of align together those 2 administrative positions that are in the sheriff's office. Okay, jumping down to the recorder's office, was just asking for COLA increase of 2.8%. Looking at our building and zoning, 2.8% for 3 of those positions. 2 exceptions in here. We have the season senior inspector. Lindsay wanted him within a certain range, so we're recommending a 2.8% COLA plus an additional 1% to get him within a range. He is fully certified, including electrical, so that's her justification on that. And then we have a second inspector, which she was looking at giving a $1 per hour increase, so just a flat amount upon certification. He is working through a certification right now. Can skip past the elections. Well, okay, so the election position, that's where I had mentioned earlier that he is currently an hourly employee, that Shelley wants to make him a 60% deputy. Right now, she only has, that would make him her second deputy in that department, which I think she's allowed up to 3 deputies in the auditor's office. We'll jump down to maintenance. We did some adjustments here. So we have 2 people in our courthouse maintenance or county maintenance. Increase the hourly rate to the senior position to $26.50 per hour, plus the 2.8% COLA on top of that. That is to keep his position, his pay, in a line with the new sheriff's office maintenance person that was just hired, to make sure, since this position is the senior position, to keep him just a little bit above the new sheriff's position that we hired. And then the second position in our maintenance department, to increase that position to a $23 per hour rate plus a 2.8% on top of that. He would not be as high as the position over in the sheriff's office, but that at least brings him up to a more reasonable rate. Looking down at secondary roads, the majority, Landon was just looking at cost of living of 2.8% for the majority of his people, with the exception of his 2 foremen, shop foreman and roads foreman. He wants to give a straight 4% increase to those 2 positions. There was, back in fiscal year 24, I believe it was, there was a great increase in wages out to secondary roads to kind of bring them up to, adjust them up to where they should be with other counties. Landon gave that to the union positions, did not give that to his 2 foremen, and this is where he would just like to see the slight increase above cost of living for his shop foreman and his roads foreman, to kind of bring them up to what they did not get back in 2024. Okay, jumping down to our VA and our GA. For VA, Veterans Affairs, 2.8% for the director. And then we have a position that is 60% VA, 40% GA, with what we're seeing as an hourly wage that is well below for the work that she is doing and for the responsibility of the general assistants. Actually, an increase of 8.32% to get her into where the wage analysis range says that she should be. I did meet with them. They did have their budget complete, and they were actually able to reduce line items out of that budget to make up for this additional increase in her wages with additional reduction. So her 8.32 and the new budget is less than what they were asking for last year. Coming down to conservation, I talked with Andy a couple different times about this. He was looking at a straight 7.5% increase across the board for his department. Met with Bob and Cassandra had some discussion, and I met with Andy, or had a conversation with Andy again. We feel that the director position, as in the wage analysis study, was 94%, so, and targeted as being well below what he should be making, and also according to the ISAC information. So we're looking at increasing his percentage to 5.5% this year, keeping the senior naturalist and the techs at a cost of living 2.8%, and then with his new naturalist, who just put in 1 year of service with the county, he has set up a 5-year step increase plan, starting this year with 7.5%, and then within 5 years to get her up to the same level as the senior naturalist. And he was fine, he and I discussed, and giving him the higher increase and keeping Elizabeth at a little bit higher increase. He was fine with that.
And the rest would get 2.8.
The rest of them would get 2.8, yes, the naturalist and the Vortex at 2.8%.
And Arlen, oh, that's a different one, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's next though, roadside. We're looking at a 2.8% cost of living increase for the roadside manager. He did have a step increase in November to kind of get him up to where he should be, given where the last manager was at. He does have one seasonal helper, and it's only a 0.29% increase because his part-time helper is also retired and wants to keep his wages below a certain level, so he can continue working for the county for just this 1 more year. Finance, 2.8%, human resources, 2.8%. Looking down at Public Safety Center, Department 37, giving 2.8% for most of those employees. There is one dispatcher that had been set up with an 88-cent per hour increase this fiscal year, and so we're looking at 2.8% plus that 88-cent per hour, and that would make that last dispatcher, even with the rest of the dispatchers in the department, allowing that 88 cents per hour at this point. We did hire a new maintenance person for the sheriff's office. Dan had him set up with a step increase, and then along with that, just a standard cost of living 2.8%. Jumping down to IT or MIS, our IT department is well low according to the wage analysis, low according to ISAC and public standards. So this is where we are looking at some increases over and above the cost of living. We're looking at the director, 7.34% to get him closer to the public sector and to the ISAC information that we have. And there is also, I believe he's called a systems engineer position, 3.71% for same reason, to get him closer to the public sector and the ISAC wages. Looking at the landfill, the cost of living 2.8% increase for the manager, and he has one full-time position and a couple of occasional positions, so looking at a 2.8% for those. Jumping down to the assessor, I sat and I talked with Aaron, and he gave me the wages for the upcoming that he is going to go to his board.
And you talked to him yesterday?
Not yesterday, no. I had talked to him earlier.
Talk to him again.
What's that?
Yeah, you'll need to talk to him.
I'll need to talk to him again. Has he adjusted these?
Yeah.
Okay. I will talk to the assessor and get back with some updated information on that. Coming down to Department 55, the Health Department, one director, one full-time RN, they're looking at just the 2.8% cost of living increase. GIS / maintenance director, he's looking at just the standard 2.8% increase. Looking at our EMA, we're recommending a 2.8% from the county on that. And then we're down to our last department, our community-based services, and we're looking at just a standard 2.8% cost of living increase for that department.
That's our initial stab. So maybe some department heads have a question. So anybody have a question?
We can talk.
Dan? Yeah.
Okay. So I have a problem giving a deputy 1% raise to bring others up. 1% is like a slap in the face. And I understand what you're doing. There's only so much money that goes around, and I know we're trying to balance things, but that's gonna cause all kinds of problems, to give somebody a 1% raise. And I don't have that option to give deputies like the other elected offices do. I'm not saying they're doing it wrong, I'm just saying I don't have that option to bump these deputies up because they got taken off of my salary back in 2016. So giving somebody a 1% raise, I just don't agree with. I think it's gonna, if they don't get a cost of living, I think it's gonna cause us a lot of grief. And to give them 1% and then the others extra. And I know we want to bring that lower group up, and I appreciate you guys looking at that. But I was planning a 1% only extra for those lower ones above the cost of living. And it's going to take 5, 6, 7 years maybe to ever get them matched to the top, but I thought we would start somewhere. But again, I understand there's only so much money going around, and but to do a 1%, I just don't agree with. So it's just how I feel. So.
Appreciate those concerns.
Okay.
I think EMA is probably something also. There's, Dan, maybe changing job description or changing responsibilities that may be happening. So maybe you can articulate that a little bit more.
It's going to go before the EMA board. It's not really, it's just going to be a discussion.
Okay.
And then we have it on the agenda for the 911 board. Currently, Aaron is working 1,950 hours. He does EMA. And then he checked with other counties. Winneshiek County gives, in most counties, EMA does the 911 coordinator. Fayette County has just a 911 coordinator that they pay all out of the 911 budget. I did check with the state to see if any salary or any amounts could be paid out of that 911 budget, so it wouldn't be coming from our general fund. And if it's addressing or database management, overseeing even, you can pay out of that 911, so it wouldn't come out of the county's budget. But that's all got to get run through the 911 board.
Yeah.
You know, I'm doing the budget now, I'm putting it in, it can always be taken out. If they don't allow it, then I take it out. But if they do so, then what would happen then on that 5, if you calculate it out, it comes like $5,900 and some odd dollars that it's, by the time you add FICA and IFRS and everything into it. So that would be in there, so that would get put, and I talked to Cassandra, that would be like another position basically. So it would just pull every payroll, he would work 2,080 hours instead of 1,950, and I was kind of wondered why he was ever set at 1,950, but Cassandra thought maybe because he was in the courthouse at one time, EMA, so that's why they set it up that way, I guess. But anyway, so he would just work the 2,080 hours, the other 2.5 hours each week would be put into 911. And again, that's all got to be run through the board to even have that approved.
A question that I asked the sheriff when he explained it to me was, and I'm asking this on behalf of the taxpayers, if somebody's getting a $5,000 increase and that's a responsibility that somebody else has been doing, does somebody get a $5,000 decrease? That's all I have to say.
Because right now, Sheriff Pickett is doing some of those administrative tasks.
I'm doing all of it, and I've not been paid one penny for it. So I don't expect to take a pay decrease either. It's just something that the sheriff is not.
Did the two sheriffs before you get paid extra for that duty?
No, and I haven't either.
Thank you.
It's not the prince, it's usually done through EMA or different position. It's turned into a hell of a lot of stuff to do, and
It's no more than it used to be.
you don't know what it's all about, do we? Why don't you come over and look at it? Don't sit here
You've
and-
contracted out. You've contracted out all the corrections. You don't even have to do that anymore.
There's a whole lot more to it yet.
Okay.
Good. So this is just kind of an initial step, because what I heard from the supervisors is we want to use the wage study. I do think, looking at various positions within the county, if they're like job descriptions, their salaries should be, closer. That's something that I think HR is going to have to work overtime on doing that, but any thoughts?
It's a good start.
Yeah, it's a good summary, pulling everything together. I still need to see the big picture of.
What we said when we agreed to do the salary study is that it's likely some people will be happy and some people will be disappointed. And that's where we're at. So,
Yep. The big picture, Cassandra, why don't you kind of talk about why we chose 2.8 to allow some flexibility, so, and other things come down the pike, so.
If we kind of use the general basic, general supplemental as our basis for, what kind of funds are we gonna bring in that are above and beyond what we had last year, and we were right around, if we go to the $3.50, we're gonna be close to $246,577 in new money. And so we kind of used that number to make certain that we weren't going over that, knowing that other expenditures are going to increase as well. If you take a look at your Department 41 capital projects, I mean, we're 300 and some thousand over where we were last year. So that was where we started with when we dropped down to the 2% and the 1.8%. We were well below the new money that we'll be generating. So we decided that maybe we start at the 2.8, factor everything in, let you guys decide what you want to pull back from expenditures that aren't wages and benefits, see where we land, and that 2.8 may still have to be adjusted. Also keeping into consideration that we may be actually even held to a 2% growth and not this growth, which ended up being 4.63% over the dollars we had last year. So lots of things to take into consideration, not only for this fiscal year, but going forward, knowing that there will be changes, and there are changes we're going to have to be able to pay for going forward, long-term, not just one-time money that I think.
Yeah. Adam, you have a question?
Just a comment on the supplements that is in Department 4, if you look at interest on investments.
Yes.
There's a notation that you'll get a week from today in my budget presentation referencing if the building project does not advance forward, those bond proceeds or bond dollars that would typically be sitting in our bank account at some point in time in that fiscal year would not be there, like the 911 funds were there to build interest that are going into that account. So that would be the only late situation that may change that. So I don't know, that's something to give some thought to between now and next week, whether you want to pull that back to, you know, what I had currently in there this year, because that's going to affect what Cassandra was just talking about.
It will affect, but one of the things that we will be having to factor in if we go forward with this project is some of the overage of the project is coming out of our general fund. So
correct.
I think going to be more than what you've got factored in.
Yeah, absolutely, but it's still dollars and cents
Yes.
that we need to be aware of, that I don't want to inflate it if the project does not go forward, and then none of that stuff matters. But it's definitely going to be under if the project does matter or move forward, that we're talking nickels on the dollar type
I think
effect. So
we'll know by February 10th. Is that when the bids are due?
We'll have the bids then, we won't have a guaranteed
Week
maximum
after
price
that.
till the 13th.
So
That's
just
everything's
throwing that out there as a
And then-
consideration.
With what happened yesterday with the plans is gonna potentially move that a week.
Well, and honestly, again, I said last week, nothing is more concerning than to sit here and hear discussions already about it being over. How can we move forward with it?
Not over, over.
No, what is happening is things are being pulled out of the project to keep the cost down for the bid process, and those things are still gonna have to be paid for by someone and somehow, and that's just not acceptable. Sorry, it's just not acceptable.
Temper your pessimism, we did have a very robust bidders list, qualified bidders, so that was encouraging.
Yeah, $3 million encouraging, right.
Darius, you got the code book out. Did we do something wrong or anything?
A little light reading.
Okay. Okay.
How come we didn't get an index this time, sir?
Index of what? Oh, for the code?
Is it in that little black book?
That's drainage district.
Oh.
I don't know. You guys order your own.
I know.
How?
Somebody forgot.
upstairs.
Might have been me, I was chair.
Cost savings.
I was chair, I'll take the blame. It was probably.
Either index or shipping.
Right.
And it's challenging without an index.
Okay. This is our first go-round, so we wanted to present it, get some feedback, and I definitely appreciate Dan's feedback, so. And now we gotta get to Corey's, the bigger picture, as we go through the budget and et cetera, so.
What at this point do you want? Barb did this with all the departments and elected officials. Is Barb to reach back out to them now and say, here's what was recommended? I mean, at some point, I'm gonna need those numbers so that I can start plugging them in for you. I've got things plugged in now, but salary and benefits are a big portion.
Yeah, let's send it out to department heads, and if they got questions, have them schedule a meeting with Barb, and then we can continue this discussion, so.
And then, Barb, if you're gonna meet with the assessor's office, can you get us the update after whatever changes you
I will,
uploaded to?
I will.
Thank you.
Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.